things. How are you dealing with that?
So as far as unknowns go, yes and no. Unknowns unknowns go to like us being in the server with them. That's kind of like the only unknown. But we haven't not been paying attention to what they've been doing. I actually really, really enjoy the way that they play CS. It's very, very methodical. It's very thought out, well planned, and for lack of a better term, it's very together. It's very cohesive. So it's a really, really good recipe for success for a team like that. So they have a plan going into pretty much every single round, and they usually execute it very well. So like I said, I've been keeping my eye on them specifically. I know a couple of my players have been keeping an eye on them just because we enjoy the way that they play CS. But it is kind of a relative unknown just because we haven't played against them that much. So that's really the only unknown about it.
It also means we don't really have a veto to reference here, but I've got one question about which direction you guys might be going with the maps. After watching 65 rounds last night on Dust 2, you going to play them on Dust 2?
We'll see. They might have more of a bitter taste in their mouth when it comes to D2 than we do, but realistically, that's not going to change the way we approach the veto. No.
All right, John, take it.
So, yeah, I mean, you kind of alluded to it briefly in regards to how you feel like the match against Triumph was more mistakes that you guys made, but did they surprise you at all? Was there an element of like, whoa, they came out with stuff that we just weren't expecting to see, or do you really just feel like it's yourselves that are to blame for that loss?
100%. Like I said, nothing to take away from them. Like, obviously, we made a lot of mistakes, but to speak on what they did, they came out with an excellent game plan, and that's just like the first step of it. But if having a good game plan is one thing, but executing it the way that they did is another thing. They made us uncomfortable. They made us play a lot slower than we're more comfortable doing. Everything that they wanted to do early on in the BO3 and early on in pretty much every single map, they were able to do. Aside from Train, we kind of got a little bit of a hot start on Train, but then just got really, really cold because they made proper adjustments that we weren't able to capitalize on. So, like I said, they came in, Triumph came in with a really, really good game plan, and they executed it solid. So, yeah, Sheikh Zula is he's a really, really smart guy, and he's always going to have his guys prepared. So that's something we weren't surprised by. But, yeah, they kind of came out and slapped us in the face, for lack of a better term.
So, I mean, having gone through that experience, did you adjust the way you're preparing for this match, like in terms of adaptability, in terms of trying to kind of realize what the other team is doing and maybe not be so insular and focus only on yourselves?
Not to get like super in depth with it, but kind of. We kind of prepared. I'm not gonna lie, we prepared for Triumph a little bit different way than we normally do, and I think we came out really stale because of it. And pretty much everybody on my team would agree with that statement. So realistically, it's just going back to what has worked for us in the past is, I think, our best game plan going forward. But that's in the future. Right now, we have to worry about RBG because they're the guys right in front of us.
All right, I'm going to let you go get the boys pumped up, and best of luck in the series today.
For sure. Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
We definitely appreciate Mad Cow. He's given us a lot of great content as well as a lot of great answers here on the desk, but we'll have to wait a little bit longer to see the best of three. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, let's have a look at the veto and get ready for the first map. We'll see you soon.
If you want to know what you're good at and, well, also what you suck at, check out csgohub.com. Coming!
Yes, nice shot, my friend.
Cheaters ruining your plays?
I have eyes on the enemy.
Bad servers stopping your shots? What you need is ESEA. Advanced anti-cheat to stop cheaters. And the best servers around, all with 128 tick rate. ESEA, the best way to play CSGO.
Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find it to see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find a key.
All right, welcome back to ESEA Premier Playoffs for Season 36 of North America. We're ready for our lower bracket final game. This will determine who's going to go into the grand final against Triumph and have a crack at the ESL Pro League spot and $20,000 dues there, Mike. So looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be an interesting one. I want to start off talking about RBG yet again. Now, these guys, they played a whole bunch of OTs already in playoffs. They played a whole bunch of tough matches, and they only seem to keep getting tougher for the lads. How do you think they're going to go?
I don't know. Here's the thing, right? Last night's performance was incredible, but what it required was Wiz going God mode, ascending to another level, becoming a deity untouched by mortal men. I mean, that's the reality of what we saw. He dropped 108 kills in 2 maps, 38 in the first, 70 in the second. 70 kills, and they lost the map.
Yep.
He killed 70 people in 65 rounds, and they lost the map.
Yep.
Then he had a perfectly normal, but still good game on Nuke. I mean, if Wiz is hitting like that, absolutely RBG can take this. The problem is if he's maybe come back down from the demi plane, if he's maybe lost some of his powers overnight, slept and just exited his body, he's a mortal man now, could get a little tough for RBG.
Look, I've seen a lot of CS, Mike, and I have to say that is probably the best. That's the best series he's ever going to play. It doesn't matter how much longer his career goes on. That almost never happens. So he's definitely going to come down a level, I would say. And, I'm always a bit of a pessimist when it comes to the underdog team. So, at some point, the upsets have to stop. I would be very surprised if they could do it again, but that's what we're here to find out. Now, it all starts with the maps that they're going to play on. I always love to throw the veto towards you, JRT, because I know you do your research. So let's roll out the veto and you can have a chat about what kind of maps we're seeing here and if there's any surprises in the veto from either of these squads.
I mean, not so much, right? Train was banned by RBG last night, so expected that. And Vertigo is pretty much Bad News Bears permaban now. They don't usually deviate from it too much. Overpass being picked by RBG makes a lot of sense. They haven't really, whenever they get a chance to play Overpass, they're going to, right? So that's a good pick for them. They're strong on the map. The Bad News Bears, though, are not too shabby on it. I mean, if you look at their record, it's 7-3, right? And a plus 15 round differential. So it's really quite good. That's going to be a good matchup. We'll see if RBG has what it takes. Mirage, this was a punish pick by the Bad News Bears. And I was talking to Mike earlier, wasn't sure if it was going to come through. But yeah, RBG have had a lot of struggles on a map like Mirage. Only 4 wins and 9 losses there. And of course, undefeated are the Bad News Bears on this map so far in 2021. So that is going to be a real challenge for them. Finally, if we get to it, Inferno being the 3rd map, that's really interesting because the Bad News Bears haven't had a chance to play it so far in these playoffs because I'm pretty sure it's been banned against them a couple of times and just it hasn't come up in the pool. But that'll be interesting. And of course, we saw how good RBG can be there. So for me, Mirage, it's like yesterday, right? When Dust 2 was picked against them, I thought that there was no way they could win it, and they went to 6 overtimes, right? But Mirage, honestly, I feel like the Bad News Bears get that one. And again, if the RBG is going to win, it's going to be in 3 maps.
I just want to point out that RBG got rid of Dust 2, so they're not interested in playing another X rounds, however many it was, 60-something rounds. They just want to get rid of that one, which is an interesting one. I was almost kind of hoping for Peter versus Wiz in the fisticuffs this time around, but you know what? I'm almost glad we might come back down to earth now. Mike, what's your opinion of this veto? I think the Bears, they're kind of the favourite here. It sounds like JRT's kind of pointing towards the fact that Mirage should be a pretty good one for them. So does this kind of push us into the realms of RBG needing to kind of 2-1 here on their 2 strong maps in the veto?
I mean, I think so, but it was always going to be the case. The thing is, this is the best the veto could have gone for RBG. Their 2 strongest maps are Overpass and Inferno. It's what they like to play. We saw that ridiculous D2 game, but that is far from the standard. They tend to avoid very aim-heavy maps like that. They want to play with a little bit more coordination, a little bit more team play, as Nate was actually hinting at in the interview. So this has gone very well for them. Yeah, Mirage, tough ask of them. We watched the Bad News Bears 16-0 GGPR in the regular season on that map. If they get going, they will destroy you, and they won't even think twice about it on Mirage. Overpass is fascinating to me. It's such a good map for RBG, but it hasn't been perfect. And they haven't really had a lot of success on it against top competition. And we know what the Bad News Bears can do here. Despite a shakier matchup on this map earlier in the playoffs against Recon 5, we didn't love what they were doing there in a couple of ways. They're very passive, but they still won it, right? They still won it. And I think we might see a repeat of that again, even if RBG finds some paths to exploit, maybe get some map control that the Bad News Bears aren't fighting for. We're still ultimately probably going to see the Bad News Bears hold up strong. I don't know. I'm curious what it's going to come down to. This one, it's as good as it could be for RBG. And if it's the RBG we had last night, yeah, they can win it. I just don't know if they're going to make a return appearance.
I mean, that's what makes it such a massive, massive performance, is that it's really unlikely to happen. I'm going to call that it's probably not going to happen, and I can't wait to be proven wrong. Now, JRT, as from the Bears' point of view, what kind of a style do you think that they're going to come in here with? Because they've been a team that's interesting to watch. We can see them sort of slip into that looser play style of foot on the gas pedal, the NA pugger mentality. Sometimes we've seen them in the more sort of structured vein. What kind of a style do you think they're going to bring up against RBG, who are an underdog opponent, first of all, but second, also like to play a little bit more of a structured gameplay?
My guess is they're going to test them early, go with the aggression. We're going to see Jonji going out Swisher as well, trying to find those early picks, whether they be on CT or T side. It's going to come through. Jonji, that's just his play style. So I don't think you can kind of put a leash on him to an extent, because if you do, then he won't perform at the level he needs to. And one thing about Jonji, by the way, is that he's actually their top ADR performer. Just going to pull up the stat here throughout the playoffs, and he's sitting at 84.4 ADR, number 8 in the playoffs for Premier. That's with a negative kill to death differential, right? I think it's sitting at negative 17. So he's still doing the damage. He doesn't need to find the kills. It's not really his role. He just needs to get as much damage done as possible. So I think they're going to send Jonji out, do the damage, and then Spongey's been great at cleaning up for them throughout these playoffs. He's actually outperforming himself, considering his past performances in the playoffs in terms of frags. So I think they're going to go aggressive. I think they're going to test them early, and I think they might be able to exploit some weaknesses that High Coast weren't really doing yesterday.
All right, we're getting pretty close to the game. I love your characterization of Jonji there. For me, Jonji's kind of like a win more player for Mike. He's like that player that if he's fragging, you probably just win the game automatically. If he's not fragging, he's still having impact, and the rest of the boys going to come in there and clean up. But let's take a little bit of a closer look at this first map. What are your expectations for it, as we're getting pretty close into seeing the action firsthand?
I mean, presumably the Bad News Bears are going to be starting on the CT side. That's what we'd assume, since it's RBG's map pick coming through. Now, what I think they're going to do initially, I think John's absolutely right. They'll get aggressive. The thing is, High Coast were getting aggressive a little bit in their matchup yesterday. It wasn't necessarily working. They made a lot of individual plays trying to isolate aim fights, and they didn't have a lot of success with it. RBG held up strong. Bad News Bears can be a different story in that. Aggression is their watchword, right? That's what they love to do. So the question is, can RBG rebuff some of this map control early? We'll have to find out. Seems like we're going to get some aggression in towards the connected. 2 players have moved in, a third on the way, and 4 players in for RBG. Spongy tucked by the shelves. Support potentially here from Alter. Swisher just around the corner, and this is going to come to hit. Here it goes. They're going up the stairs. They're missing these players, but they're getting the kills. No, it's all down to Alter and Swisher, and while Walker will eventually find it, Alter can get the magazine back in the gun, and now it's a 3-1. Some damage done, but Wiz, despite his insane performance yesterday, should not be able to recover it. Not with a Glock, not with no armor. They don't have to give him a fight. They can play lower down and wait for him to try and retrieve the bomb. His one potential advantage is he has a smoke and a flash, and if he can use these to get the bomb, there is no one between him and the A side. A plant would be wonderful here. He's going to go in raw. Don't know if I love this. Oh, no utility to cover him off. He's going to be able to find a first. He's taking this fight prolonged. He's down to 10 health. Even drops the smoke onto the Molotov. He had time. Could have maybe just waited that out. He'd seen both players, but no. With a bomb all the way down by the shelf, he knows he can't drop into it and has to take the fight. Peter, well, he's going to be up to the challenge.
Yeah, so the Bad News Bears pick up the pistol round, but let's not forget, High Coast were doing exactly that last night. I mean, they were getting pistol rounds. RBG just said, okay, we don't care about pistol rounds. We're just going to come back and find a way to win. So we'll see if that story holds true here tonight as well. And we were talking about it in the pregame, but these two teams have not faced off against each other pretty much at all so far this year. One time DreamHack opened January 2021. It was a blowout for the Bad News Bears, 16-4 on Inferno. But it doesn't mean much, right? That was 2 months ago. Both these teams have evolved and changed since that point. The question is RBG going to be up to the task facing off against these really strong players?
For the Bad News Bears, this round is going to be a welcome sight because we haven't had the force buy come through for RBG. No bomb plant means no force buy, means the Bad News Bears probably can't lose it. I said that now. Now I'm maybe want to take back my word. Avoid the curse. We have seen a lot of these second rounds slip away from the Bad News Bears, but here with rifles up for, never mind, just Peter. Everybody else on the MP9, John G, he's going to get overwhelmed. Now you're getting a little bit nervous. Alta's going to be able to catch 2. He's going for more. He sprays down 2 at the same time. Was that a collat shot? No, not quite.
No.
An MP9 collat shot is something that I would love to see. I've seen a couple Glock collats, and those blew my mind, John. But no MP9 collat for now. It was like the guy behind one player had like 60 health, and the guy behind him had 1 HP, and it was a headshot into the 1 HP player. The thing of beauty, John.
Really is, but right now Walco is just potentially walking to his death and connector here with the Glock out, and yep, indeed Swisher domes him with the MP9. That'll be that. Bad News Bears get off to a 2-0 start. So I want to talk a little bit more about Wiz last night. I mean, we know how amazing he was on Dust 2 with those 70 frags, but it wasn't just the frags that he was doing well with, Mike. I mean, he had 419.9 seconds of enemy flash time, which I think is almost double the next highest player on his team, which was around 200, and he had 156 enemies flashed, along with wins in 1 1v1, 2 1v2s, and 1 1v3, 14 2Ks, 4 3Ks, and 3 4Ks, Mike. He was all over the board doing absolutely everything for the team.
Was a true god-tier performance. That's a nice bait, and then here comes the switch. It's Alter. Comes in for the punish, secures connector. And if you're RBG, there's just got to be a hint of nervousness because that bomb is outside of the connector up above the ladder. You can see 2 players starting to focus back in from Playground. They're going to have to clear this somewhat diligently. They do have a crossfire for it, but this is going to whittle precious time off the clock. Fortunately for them, no one did go up, so they don't have to contest it. They don't have to battle it out. They will be able to recover that precious parcel of C4. But now where do they want to go with it? No map control, John. No control towards construction. No vision long. No vision bathrooms. Nothing in the connector. 50 seconds on the clock, and they're just going to set up for a B hit. They got some mollies. They got some smokes. They can make this work, John, but there's bodies on site, and the cavalry from Bad News Bears will be coming quick.
Yeah, and one thing I want to mention, Mike, again, the Bad News Bears, we saw it, I think it was against High Coast, in fact, where they were very passive, right? They weren't going for that aggressive play.
It was Recon 5.
Recon 5, you're right, yes, Recon 5. And they weren't going up long, they weren't going to bathrooms. We've seen more of that here, oddly. And here's RBG Wolf going to get the opening frag on John G. 4v4, Spongy waiting around Pillar, trying to do damage. He is going to get one over on Wolf, looking for a second. Alter finds that Spongy assist, then Spongy finds a second, and they're just trading frags back and forth. Mike having a party at this B site.
It's a Spongy effect. He's still alive on the site. Your job is not done. Took out Jonji. That's good, right? Jonji's the swing, and then Spongy's the back line. It's like I'm trying to think of the exact. I was trying to go with Wrecking Ball and Wall, but that wouldn't make sense since the Wrecking Ball attacks the wall. But Jonji is just the back line. Sorry, Jonji is the front line. Spongy is the back line. Together, they form a pretty difficult formation to get past. Wolf going to take a little bit of damage early on here. That metaphor didn't make any sense, John. I'm really disappointed in myself for not being able to find a metaphor for this one. I'm going to work on this, chat. Don't worry. It'll be stewing in the back of my head. I'm going to come up with an apt metaphor for this at some point. Personally, I blame the fact that we didn't get done until 1:30 in the morning last night for the fact that maybe the imagery is going to come a bit slower today. I don't know about you, but I was buzzing until 5 when I finally crashed out.
I was up till 4 until I said, okay, this is I have to go to sleep now, and I did everything I could. But yeah, it's a lot of adrenaline flowing as Alter is going to get the headshot on Wolf here. Just the deagle spot up for RBG, and I mean they were effective last night. But right now, Alter just going to get maybe an ace.
Oh, he's out of bullets.
Just robbed of it. Oh my goodness, Walco is going to take him down
by his bullets.
Oh well.
Walker's got a rifle now. He actually goes to the deagle. He's getting rid of the AK. Okay. Time to work on that arm. There we go. Now he can make it to the major leagues. But, I mean, they have 4 rifles, so he burns on AK. The only player who probably would have upgraded to that would have been, I think, Swisher. Has the M4. Loves to play with the M4. But nice little clip for Alter. It's an anti-eco, but we won't take it away from him. Would have had it if one more bullet had been present in his gun. Would have been the ace.
So close yet so far, but the Bad News Bears, they don't care how it happens.
Oh.
They got a 4-0 lead. What's up?
John Alter's 13-2-2 already. We're 4 rounds in. I hadn't quite
goodness.
realized that. He watched Wiz last night and said, yeah, that looks like fun. I wonder if I can do that.
Look, I mean, Alter's been a bit up and down throughout these playoffs, but we saw him, and you mentioned on those Dust 2 clips, he was so good against Triumph, holding down that A site. It was really quite something to watch. So we'll see if he can do that here on Overpass. And he does like playing here, so.
He does. Here comes the spam. John G eventually does find it. Tries his luck a couple times. A bit risky after the initial phase, because they can spam back, obviously, but this time it pays out. Swisher, meanwhile, is finding information, but he's being shot in the heels. How did he get there? The players must have still been in towards Calm, but he was just going walkabout. So he's giving back a kill. A little bit of over-aggression, perhaps. For the Bad News Bears, still it is even numbers, so they can be forgiven for the time being. RBG, just now starting to work their way in towards bathrooms. That's a huge kill for Chop. That's a big one for Chop. Now, dangerous situation. Wolf takes one more. That clears out everybody towards A. This can wind up being a save before you know it. 2v4, do they want any part of this? Spongy's going to be going up, so it seems like that's going to be the case. He's the Vanguard. That typically does mean they're committing in, but I think he's just going to see if they'll give him a kill. Whoa, and he misses the spray. Not going to have that opportunity. Numbers now being punched in. That should make his decision for him. They want this? They have the money to spare, but still, percentage round, tough round. I think they might just be forced to concede.
Spongy grabbed the AK. They're going to back off. Yeah.
He just faked a drop. I don't know if you noticed that. He threw his USP out of heaven in case there was someone lurking to hunt these guns to fake the drop. They're going for the round.
Yes, they're going
They don't have a smoke. He doesn't have a smoke. He's just hoping they moved off site. He's just going to have to stick this. He is, in fact, sticking it. Spongy gets the first. Are they in position to deal with this? They're not. He's going to get this. He's going to get this. They win the round! The Ninja! Right under their noses! They left one player close at hand, but not enough. Not enough at all. The Bad News Bears, they stick close by and they pull it off.
Okay. That's a ballsy call by Peter.
Woo!
Oh my goodness. And they get the frags to boot. Spongy, some great defense for his IGL. That's a timeout going to be called, I'm guessing, by RBG after that round because, wow. Yeah, it is RBG. Wow. My goodness. Peter, great work. I honestly thought Spongy was going to back off, but yeah, you called it. I mean, he just faked the drop, try and convince RBG that they were going to back off, and they came right back to it. So the Bad News Bears will not be denied. That's going to hurt a lot because it really was. Those are the types of rounds, Mike, last night that were going RBG's favor.
I mean, here's the other thing.
Did challenge. Yeah.
That's the round that has everybody on Bad News Bears cracking up. And as we've known from this roster, as we've known from every time they've played, in the rare occasions where we get, dams on, if they're smiling, if they're having a good time, you're in trouble. Whoa. Here comes Alter. He's going to spot these toes. He's going to spot these toes and have the spam. Love that angle. As soon as you see the feet, you can just spam right through. You get the kill. All but guaranteed. All but untradeable in this instance. Peter's locked in towards top combo. He actually pulls off it just in time. Chops into the angle. If he comes back to check it, that could be a delete shot, and indeed it is. So a chance into this round. Gained by Chop, but they need a whole lot more, and for now they're being denied. Chop and Wolf completely isolated, completely alone, not together at all, and they seem to be working the sites alone as well. Eventually Wolf will go to join his teammate, but with Alter's position all the way back, if he comes up con, he could get caught. Meanwhile, Chop has found resistance on A. It's all on to Wolf. So alone they were, alone they'll die, John.
Yeah, I'm honestly, here we are on Overpass, of course, and it's going to be 6-0 for the Bad News Bears, but I want to go back to the vetoes. I'm surprised that RBG didn't try to, replicate what happened yesterday and pick Inferno right off the bat. I mean, they know that the Bad News Bears like to play it and would probably be left over, but at the same time, you kind of got into a rhythm yesterday. Maybe try to go with that same pattern. Instead, we have a completely different veto. So aside from nuke. Or
The
not nuke.
difference is, if you're looking at the numbers, I understand this. Okay, yeah, Wolf is going to die. Didn't think there was a chance to get the bomb plant there. If he took down John G, maybe enough time. The difference is, Inferno's even better of a map for the Bad News Bears, and it's consistently slightly worse for RBG.
Yeah.
And again,
Well,
John, Wiz dropped 38,
yeah.
right? Like you have to. When a player drops 38 kills, much less 70, but 38 kills in one period of OT, like, it's a bit of an aberration. You can't trust that that's going to happen exactly the same way again.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing an op-v-op duel. The Spongy's going to find the first one on Wolf. Took so much damage that engagement. Now it's a 5v4 RBG. Kind of stagnant. They don't really know where to go here. Where to engage with the Bad News Bears. Peter's going to get a couple, though. Wiz and Hex go down. He's got his op rocking and rolling. I have a stat for that, but we'll get back to it after this round.
They're just consistently getting this control in towards the playground and towards Found. They're not being threatened there. They're not being threatened by early aggression, and they're exploiting it again and again. We haven't even seen RBG sniff along just yet. Smell the greenery, smell the trees out there. And it's making this very problematic. Spongy, yeah, he's a bullet from death. Maybe they take down Spongy and have a path towards sight, but Swisher's here to back him up. Swisher's going to flash for it. Spongy's going to check. Spots the player. That's information. That might bring the rotate. Two players have made their way down Con. This shouldn't be a bomb plant, even if they do kill Spongy, and that's the first test. Swisher's back in from the back line. Spongy somehow will avoid dying. Two players completely focused on his position, and he stays alive. The Spongy effect. He's only died once so far, John. I went around 7. 8.
Unbelievable. Spongy. Yep.
176 ADR for Alter.
Yeah.
It's a good start. It's a good start.
It's a great start. His ADR overall throughout the playoffs only sitting at 64.9, but he's one of those players that has those flashes on particular maps, and right here, it's one of them, right? 176 ADR is crazy for him. But talking a little bit more about Spongy, he's been a rock for them. 119 frags, only -3 in terms of kill to death differential, so that's really good for a player like Spongy. I mean, I don't want to sound like he's bad or anything, but it's just the positions he plays in the situation he goes into. Yeah, he's going to go down a lot, especially at B site on Train, for example. He has to try and defend against a ton of players rushing at him. So yeah, good job for him. And he also has tied for number 7 in 3Ks, Mike. 9 in the playoffs.
He's really dang good. Anyone who's listened to me cast a Bad News Bears game before has probably heard me praise Spongy because I'm such a fan of the consistency he brings to his role. Oh, Chop. He sees all that spam come through and he's like, certainly they don't spam it again. Many bullets in the bag. He's alive, though. He's alive. That could be well. Look at the difference in control here for RBG. They've taken the playground. They're out towards Fountain. They're nervous about a potential play coming through, and they have connector control. So this is so much more control. Now they have to deal with Alter in the bathrooms, though. Knows the player's close up. He's got Pete watching out towards Long. John G to support on site. There's the swing. Alter taken down this time. They were ready for his angle. Done damage, but damage is not a kill. And Peter gets deleted. What an entry from Hex. He was what was missing for them yesterday. And now he's on form in the zone. 3 kills to his name. Swisher and Spongy maybe attempting a retake. Certainly this time RBG going to stay a little closer to the bomb in the post. And it's all onto Spongy now. Got plenty of money. He could risk it, but this is a little much to ask even of him. Gonna back away.
I almost feel like a 7-0 lead is a bad thing for the Bad News Bears because they might get too comfortable. And you heard Peter say it during the last time we interviewed him. They kind of play down to their competition sometimes, and that's kind of their Achilles heel in some situations. So that's a risk, right? When you're up like this, you say, oh, they're not that good. Maybe they'll take our foot off the gas a little bit. And no, that's the mistake that could be made here.
I think, that round in particular, what we saw towards the A setup was just a little bit more of a passive hold. Oh, Spongy's going for the gun. Spongy's going for the op. He wants that, and he's going to find it. Is anyone close enough in hand to deny this? He opts out towards Long. Can he get around? That would really require some journeying. He's going to take down another.
That's really good.
Lots of economic damage now done. A round that was looking clean. Getting a bit more expensive for RBG.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to talk about the op duel that's coming up here, Mike. We saw how many frags Wiz, of course, had yesterday. with that AWP. Overall, he is sitting at, 166 frags and number 1 in the league. But in terms of frags per round, because I wanted to measure it and compare with Peter, he's at 0.47 off frags per round in 353 rounds played. And Wiz is going to rack up another one there on Janji, but there's Peter back and forth. Perfect. I mean, playing to my point here, Peter is actually leading him in that stat category at 0.49 op frags per round. It's over 205 rounds. Also, Mike, the Bad News Bears have played 148 fewer rounds of Counter-Strike these playoffs than RBG, who are sitting at 353 rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reality, they got knocked down to the lower bracket in the second round.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, of course, they had...
and 3
basically
series went to 3 maps, Mike. Yeah.
And their last series counted as 2 or 3, all in one.
Yes.
120 rounds or whatever we wound up having. Oh, there's the spot. Alter seen him. Are they ready for him? Nope. Gonna get one. Needs more. Swings back around Alter. Great movement to take 2 there. His teammates the advantage to play with. Peter's gonna have to back away. They'll play for the retake. They've got Swisher coming up to connect. They don't want to pull the trigger too early on this retake. Wiz could be critical here. The bomb's going down in the hands of Wolf on the truck. Here's the flank dude. That was actually a tag. No, it was the Baldy who got it. Okay. A little bit misleading there for me, but there's a player standing out in the open, so Wolf, he's done in this round. No upgrade or no reload needed for Swisher. Just going to swap the guns around, and it's all on to Wiz. He's tucked by the fence, and he is taken out of play. Off, on, off action there. Defuse on, and Peter gets the best of them in this matchup.
Peter's only had 18 deaths against Ops so far in these playoffs, so that's, I think, one of the lowest, if not the lowest, death count against Ops. He's really, really good in those op-v-op engagements. And we saw it again there against Wiz, as the Bad News Bears have already taken this first half of action 8-1. Now, an interesting stat, I did allude to it during that previous round, but yeah, the RBG has gone to 3 maps, a 3-map series 3 times so far in these playoffs. And when they get to the 3rd map, they're in control. They haven't given up double digits. I mean, against Choco Check, Inferno, 16-7 win. Against Recon 5, Overpass, 16-9. And then against High Coast last night, you saw it, 16-7. They really did well. And just to add on to that, Mike, it seems like their youth might play into that, right? They have the stamina, only an average age of 18 years old versus the Bad News Bears sitting at 23.
I mean, to be fair to the Bad News Bears, that average stamina is inflated by 1 member, shall we say.
Okay, they're all above 20, though, so let's...
That's true, that's true. They're older than RBG. RBG
Yes.
are the fresh-faced babes of this particular matchup. Heck's gonna come, try an entry on in, but he's stuck out by a flashbang. They're rebuffed initially. And, well, they're starting to slow down here. There's a lot of bodies on site. They're gonna lose this first fight. Spongy will be traded. They've got to rock on, and they're starting to run out of opportunities. Good shot onto Janji. Had the sidearm out, and it's all been Wolf.
Okay.
It's all been Wolf. That was looking dire. That was looking problematic, but now bomb's going to be planted. Peter had the right idea. He was playing on the edge of the smoke. Oh, but he turns away before the player checks. There was a gap for him to exploit, but he's going to go forward and still get the kill. And now their focus is drawn. Alter's going to get this for free onto Wolf, and everything comes down to Walco. The leader of the team, he now needs to find something. Individual form. Where he is, they should have a pretty good idea. Smoke goes up, he's going to spam it, confirm it for them. Spam comes back the other way, and he cannot hang on. It's the P250, or as Nate calls it, the Pete 250, to secure the last.
Such a good retake. No panic at all from the Bad News Bears in the 2v3 situation. You saw Pete creeping up right here. This is a perfect play. Looking at the edge of the smoke, he catches off Wiz, wins the off-the-off duel again, and then Alter comes in on the flank to clean up the rest, or at least clean up another one. Peter at the end got the one through the smoke, but it's so well executed.
The best part is, literally Pete's 2 ideas would have both worked. If he'd held on towards that angle, towards the right of the smoke, there was a gap, and it was checked, so he likely gets that kill. Going forward, also works for him. Alter now up by the party, and he is having a fiesta of his own. 2 kills in, the trade is there.
Oh my goodness.
But the information's gained, they know this is the space, so Pete's going to fall right back towards site, bring up support in the form of Spongy. They've got plenty of utility between those 2 players to work with. And RBG, we talked about it, when plan A doesn't go to form, sometimes plan B's and C's go out the window. Walco's trying to secure the flank, Walco's trying to take the space. Look at this, Swisher's tucked in. And Janji's trained in with the AWP. Janji's going to get this kill. No! Gets the tag, not the frag. He'll back off it. That's going to set up Swisher, presumably, if Walco walks forward, assuming that was the only player holding it. Yeah. Done, dusted. On to Chop and Wolf, and they don't really have a lot to work with here, John.
No, they really don't. A couple of Molotovs, a flash, and only one Molotov now because Peter just took out Chop. That leaves only Wolf, and Peter had the right idea to watch bathrooms. Now he's going to swing around, and he instantly finds Wolf. Peter's got a really good rhythm going with that AWP. I think he has 3 2Ks already. But look at Alter sitting at 19 frags on the board, 0.90 frags per round, I believe it is right now.
I like that Alter's just mixing up his spot a lot. We saw in that Recon
Sorry,
5.
that's a correction, Mike. It's
go ahead.
1.72 frags per round. I was like, why does that stat seem wrong? Yeah, he's really popping off here.
But I was just going to say, when we were watching the Recon 5, their setups were very stale on the CT side. We saw Alter in bathrooms again and again and again. We saw that get red a little bit. This time, no. He's going forward. They've taken a leash off of him. He's peeking around playground. He's peeking around party. He's hiding around and up corners, up, down, sideways, doing the damage. They're going to try and burst on towards site from construction, and Swisher actually got shot by his teammate. Jonji took him out of play, but it seems like it's going to be okay.
Doesn't matter, yeah.
Yeah, they've done the damage. They've dropped the bomb as well. Walko, he did get an AK for his efforts, but he's not going to be able to get a kill. So RBG don't get any kills in that round. Swisher still hits the dirt, courtesy of one Mr. Jonji.
Mike, this is not looking good for RBG at all.
No, it's not.
I mean, well, when your opponent gets the TK, and I think that was the only frag in the round against the Bad News Bears, that's a problem.
It's discouraging. I mean, here's the reality. We're 12 rounds in. The most deaths on Bad News Bears' side is 6 on Jonji and Alter, I believe.
Yeah.
Everybody else, fewer deaths than that.
Oh, Peter. That is so good. The aggression up towards Fountain, gets the shot on Walker over the tip of the smoke. Yeah, and they also have control of construction with Jonji finding the off frag there.
Now this could be dangerous. They're going to try and crunch in, and if they're not looking for Wolf, this could be problematic. But the trade's potentially there. Are they going to clear the angles? What's Wolf going to do? He's blinded up. He's spotted. He's dead. Nothing can be doing. This round's over, John.
Oh, it really is. Wiz has the AWP. 1v5 is a very tall ask against a Bad News Bears team that's looking this good, and Alter's got 21 on the board with that headshot over on Wiz. I mean, the Bad News Bears are looking in top form. I really do feel like they were very disappointed with themselves after that Triumph matchup. I really think they wanted to get into that grand final with the map advantage, and when they lost it, they're like, okay, what the heck happened? They wanted to come back with a vengeance, whether it was High Coast or RBG. They were going to bring their A game, and RBG just feeling their wrath right now in this opening map. And let's not forget, this is RBG's map pick.
It is their map pick, and they're getting slaughtered, beaten, battered.
Their third straight tactical timeout as well, Mike. Bad News Bears have not called a single one.
I mean, why would you?
I know, right? Yeah.
Game plan is working, guys. Do what you're doing. Don't change it up. What's Nate going to say? Yeah, more of that.
Yeah,
guys, just want to take a pause to say more of that. More of it.
Well, sometimes it's
change nothing.
You see a lot of BM come up from the Bad News Bears, right? And calling a timeout when you don't need one is BM in itself. So
true. They actually haven't been doing the body spraying and that kind of thing so far this game. They're kind of just making it clinical. Looking like another day at the office. Jonji actually does have this peek through a little bit. Nervous with that op so close up. Pistols around the corner. But it's Jonji, you know, he's going to do this kind of thing. 2 nades in. Now the op's going to back away. That might be one way to kill his aggression. Going to come on through, trying to clear out the barrel spots, but here comes the swing, here comes the damage. Might just be able to get a bomb plant here, and Jonji does hit the dirt. Health, enough of an issue. Oh, the lineup. Really, you're going to deny even that, Swisher? Just knowing that they're planting the bomb, knowing the potential angles. Wolf, all that remains in a 1v4 with a Tech 9 to his name. This is desperate. This is dire, and that was off the back of their paws as well. Obviously, that's not necessarily the round they were formatting for it. This next one's where it's critical. But at this point, it's the last round of the half, right? They can win one more round. A 13-2 on your map pick.
The only thing that's good about 13-2 is it's better than 14-1 because it's already bad. But yeah.
True enough. But I mean, look, the fact that RBG got to this point was something of a Cinderella story.
Yes.
We weren't expecting it for them going into the playoffs. It was surprising, but
Turtle.
It seems like we're hitting midnight on the day of the ball, and there we go! Wiz! makes the Yertle the Turtle boost work. He finds the player jumping for information, and he takes John G out of the round, and here we go. We've got a round of Counter-Strike on our hands, folks. Peter will be able to answer one, answer two.
Goodness.
Dirty Peek Pete just coming in for more. That one doesn't land. Have another opportunity. Flashes for it. Chasing too many players. Too many targets for him, but he's also frozen them in place. They can't leave because they know he's here for the fight. Smoke's gonna go out to give him cover to escape if he needs to. Molly's in, but he just goes forward for more. Peter, you madman, you crazy person. And as Wiz tries to punish him, Spongy's there to finish it off. So even though
No
RBG
way.
finally got themselves an advantage going into the round, Pete says, nah, not today, not on my watch, not here on Overpass. Shutting it down. I just got responsibility to watch the bomb, but now that he's confirmed where the player is, he can just back off. They're going to peek back in with 3 because they've got 3 here. Why not chase this?
Yeah.
Try and prevent the opportunity of this even becoming something. He's not going to realize the player's gotten out towards bench. Over and done with. Down he goes. Bad news bears, 14-1. We'll be back after the half to see if RBG can even get started. And we're back here, 14-1. That's the scoreline as Bad News Bears dominated on their opponent's map pick. RBG up against the ropes. They're on the more favorable CT side now, but, well, John, this is the proverbial must-win pistol. If they don't, well, it's kind of over. It's over.
It really is. And one thing that to highlight from that previous half is Peter was all over the map. You talked about Alter being unleashed. Well, so was Peter. He was just going everywhere, getting mobile op frags. He's really good at one of the best in Premier.
Is there like a contract out right now that every pistol round on Overpass has to be a connector fight?
I don't know.
Like,
it's true. They are.
I've seen so many. It's everybody in the scene just runs 3 or 4 into connector. I don't get it. Just go Monster Rush. If you know everybody's running a connector fight and you run a Monster Rush, what are they going to do?
Look at the adjustment here, though, Mike. They backed off of it, did the Bad News Bears, and now RBG just waiting at connector for pretty much nothing as Swisher's going to pin them in.
The reality is if you run that Monster Rush, they just come down through connector and try and play the retake. I'm realizing my own issue. That's why you have to play graffiti. I've talked myself through it. It's actually a decent setup. Swisher, though, going to get the opening pick. Bomb is making its way towards site. This isn't going to be denied. The control towards long is good. It's a great response. You're absolutely right. Wiz will try and get it towards the bank, but Swisher's still doing damage in the back lines, and they can't take the fight towards site until they've dealt with him here. Wiz is taken out of play, and at this point, it's a 2v5. Never mind. A 1v5. And Hex doesn't even get a chance to fire back. Swisher with a 4K. That's match point found for the Bad News Bears.
The most casual of 4Ks I think I've ever seen someone get. So it's just like, yeah, tap, tap, tap. All right, let's go. Let's get this 4K and move on. 15-1. Count it, Mike. 14 map points. 14 chances for the Bad News Bears to close this one out, and RBG hasn't really shown us much of anything.
No. To say they are cold is an understatement. They're sub-zero at this point. Coming on in, Hex, though, trying to get the party started. He's actually going to walk into the smoke. Clever play here. He's losing teammates, but he's in a tricky spot. They know he's here. And eventually the Max 10 spam will be a little bit superior for those blind angles. Chop next to go. He's on the chopping block. And this might as well be a chopped basket because there's no ingredients available for Wiz. Walko and Wiz! Never mind. Suddenly making something out of nothing. Wiz spots the shadow, knows where the player is, but he can't line up the shot. Spongy with the polish off, and that's going to be overpass. 16-1. Dominant showing for the Bad News Bears as they look to make the grand final.
Turn my heart into something gold. No, I sold my soul to the devil long ago. I rode it all along on your wave right before it broke. Time was thrown down the well, so I let you go. What I do right now. What I do right now for you, for you. Carolina skies in the night, floating by your side. I fell up when you fell down, but we stayed in flight. 'cause I know that I can't deny. I can't find what you can't hide right inside my mind. What I do right now, what I do.
Welcome back. That was quite a quick map one. A bit of a speed run there by the boys on Bad News Bears, and it seemed like, Mike, right from the first round, these boys had the number of RBG. I was just seeing it, the con stack, all of the cheeky little pushes on the info timings. Seems like they're not giving them any respect, and they're pretty well prepared for this one.
Absolutely. And that's the right approach because, look, as we saw with RBG in this matchup, once things start to go off the rails, that's where they struggle. That's where they struggle to adapt. They don't necessarily have that ability to kind of just go into 5 autonomous units and figure out how to recover a round. Look, they got up in their face immediately. They dominated them in the aim fights. There were rounds where RBG knew where their opponents were, and there just wasn't much that they could do about it. Alter had an unreal game. There weren't that many rounds for him to stack the numbers, but he was just nutso every round, it felt, moving around the map. And it was true of most of the team. There were really no deficiencies here. They were having a grand old time. I think the round 5 win, where Spongy and Peter got the ninja defuse on site, that was what just put the nail in the coffin very early for RBG. I feel like from that moment on, they're a bit deflated, and you just started to see Bad News Bears get more and more dominant.
That was a pretty big game play. The USP drop into the water and then go for the retake there. You absolutely love to see those kind of players here in ESEA Premier. Now, from RBG's perspective here, JRT, bit of an underperformance on Overpass, obviously. How you feel about their chances heading into Mirage?
Not good. I'm going to be straight with you. Not good at all. I talked about it before. It's their worst map. They have only 4 wins and 13 times played so far in 2021. Minus 33 round differential is just not pretty at all. They don't like to play there. They don't like to play on Dust 2 either. We saw what they did yesterday. This is why I was so surprised with the picks, right? Because they had so much success on Inferno. I thought, you know what? Stick with what was working yesterday. Go for Inferno. I would have even banned Mirage if I were them, just to even try to get Dust 2 drawn out of the Bad News Bears even more. But yeah, it didn't happen. So now we're heading on to Mirage. It's looking very dire indeed for RBG. And you look at Bad News Bears, I mentioned it before, but let's talk about the stats here. 8 times they played Mirage, 8 times they won. And you see it's at 134 rounds for, only 66 rounds against, for a plus 68 round differential. They're clicking on all cylinders. Peter's looking incredible. And when his op is going, I mean, he'll shut anyone out, and he won both duels with Wiz, op v op duels that he had. So yeah, Wiz, the player we saw last night who popped off for so many frags, 100 plus frags in 2 maps. Now he's been shut down, and Hext as well. We saw a moment for Hext where he came out and had a really nice play with, I think it was a 3K, and I think that was the round where Peter came back to find that defusal, and Mike mentioned it. It kills all the momentum you have, because those were the rounds they were winning against High Coast. And when you get shut out like that, you're like, oh no, what path to victory do we have now? Because that didn't work.
I'm not really sure here. So, look, it doesn't get much better for the Bears than 100% win rate. And it seems like a lot of pretty one-sided games. And they've already started off this series with one. Let's see if RBG can recover. They showed some incredible stuff yesterday, but they're going to need to hit another level yet again. It never gets easier for the boys. We'll be back with Mirage after the break.
If you want to know what you're good at and, well, also what you suck at, check out csgohub.com. Coming!
Yes, nice shot, my friend.
Cheaters ruining your plays?
I have eyes on the enemy.
Bad servers stopping your shots? What you need is ESEA. advanced anti-cheat to stop cheaters, and the best servers around, all with 128 tick rate. ESEA, the best way to play CSGO.
You know I'm not capping, bro. Whoa, moving too fast. You probably thought it's a ghost. Whoa, stack it up, fuck it up, bitch. I've been doing the most. Whoa, moving too fast. Yeah, I just hopped in a ghost. Whoa, stack it up, fuck it up, bitch. I've been doing the most. Ay, bitch, I got nothing to lose. I ain't got nothing else to prove. I see they all tryna shoot. Ashamed though, cause I'm bulletproof. Can't touch me, I'm up on the roof. I'm catching bodies, hiding all the proof. I make them disappear like poof. Just like that, you're gone for good. Little baby say she want the wood. Man, I'm so misunderstood. Done playing games when you want the goods. Really did start from the bottom. Those moments can't be forgotten. And they been trying to see how I got it. Just know it ain't the least I bought it. I bought it. Ayy, I'm in my bag, I don't have to brag, no. Ayy, she's watching me stack, cause the water my cap and fold. Ayy, if I spend it all, it's just cause I'm racking more. Ayy, you so 10 in a bat, you know I'm not capping, bro. Whoa, moving too fast, you probably thought it's a ghost. Whoa, stack it up, fuck it up, bitch, I've been doing the most. Whoa, moving too fast, yeah, I just hopped in a ghost. Whoa, stack it up, fuck it up, bitch, I've been doing the most. Introduce me, I'm the renegade. Ooh, every single night I crave the taste. It's the adrenaline running through my gate. It gets me high, high, high. Got no time to waste. Ain't got time for small talk. I tell you the truth. I'm fascinated you. I'ma tell you the truth. Not in it to lose. Just fascinated you. Look into my eyes. I'm not afraid. Take over my mind till it fades.
Welcome back to the lower bracket final here in the North American ESEA Premier Playoffs. Now, we've got Mirage coming up. It's a bit of a grim picture here for RBG. I've been trying to go through the stats, so JRT, I'm trying to look at, who's the good performer for the RBG boys, and I find a common trend, every single time I look at player performance on the maps in the last 3 months, I see Hexed up the top. But in the playoffs so far, I don't think I've seen Hexed up the top. So what's going on? How does this guy usually play? Because we saw, 1 or 2 good rounds from him on Overpass, but, he didn't have a whole lot of opportunity to perform on that map. What's going on?
Well, I think the fact of the matter is, if you look at the regular season stats, yes, they're extremely impressive, and I don't want to take anything away from Hex. Really well done overall, but it's happening against lower tier competition. And Walco talked about it yesterday. They are dominating the lower tier of Premier, which is what they need to do to kind of take that next step up. But when Hex goes up against the top 4 teams, he tends to struggle mightily, and you saw it happen yesterday against High Coast, but. Yeah, I don't know. Wiz has been popping off, obviously. He was actually struggling up to that point, and maybe he just stepped up his game for High Coast. And Chop has been a great playoff performer, but he quieted down. And if Hex doesn't answer the call soon, I mean, it could be curtains.
Curtains, indeed, as we move on to Mirage. This is going to be tough for RBG. Bad News Bears undefeated through the Premier season, undefeated this year. Undefeated in the life of this roster. on Mirage. Most teams haven't been letting them play it here in playoffs, but RBG decided to test the beast, and, well, we'll see if they're ready for this. Aggression out mid's going to be the answer here on the pistol round. They need to do something. They need to go bold. Boldly they will go. Peter going to have many targets to deal with, but he gets both!
Oh,
okay,
no.
Peter. With 24 health remaining, he's already stood up to the first test, and that was their game plan here. That was the attempt. Now let's see if they can recover. Walco does find Jonchi trying to get in towards the window. He'll now give up the angle. Teammate goes through, and they found B. They found B. They found a bomb plant. There's a player in the market, but now he's been spotted. That's Chop, and Walco already got a kill, so they now know where both players are. Bomb's going to go down. Walco's not going to be with us anymore, and it's all going to be on the Chop. Chop, then drop.
Man.
Look, Mirage is so dang good for the Bad News Bears. Like, you can't let it through. You just can't. I don't care if you don't want to play Train. RBG needs to show us.
I would play Train if I was RBG, honestly.
They need to show us something incredible here. It needs to be another Dust 2 where we have no expectations for them coming in and suddenly God mode.
The thing is, for Dust 2, I mean, they were competitive every time they played it. They only had a -7 round differential on it. Actually, they only have a -7 round differential now, but it was very similar going into last night's action on the map. So they were always close on Dust 2. They just weren't able to close it out. Mirage is an entirely different story. I mean, they've been really battered on it in the past, right? So it's going to be tough. That was actually a good call by RBG at the beginning, right? They caught Peter off guard, but a Hex Domes whiz in the back of the head. So, you know, that helped Peter get those 2 frags, and now Spongy's going to walk in towards this B site, spray down Wolf, and once more they get the entry that they need. Chop is hiding here in the smoke. They might not know he's here, and he could get a frag off of it, and he does. Survives. No. Trade comes in. Swisher then gets a second one afterwards. There was a chance there, a moment for RBG where it looked interesting, but now down to a 4v2. I don't know, Mike. Bomb is down. They probably just want to save.
They're going to save what little they have. Okay, it's early rounds. It's not dire yet. But the problem is, right now, those first 2, another day at the office for the Bad News Bears. You haven't really pushed them, right? As you said, in the pistol round, they had the right idea. Didn't work out in execution. This round, they've got the bodies on B. Well, not for long. You at some point, you need to be able to best them, mano a mano. And at no point on Overpass did they show us that.
Yeah.
Admittedly, there were a few points, John. There were very few points.
There wasn't much to talk about, unfortunately. There was a bit of a bright spot for Hex, but came in a round where they lost surprisingly so.
All right. No doom and gloom for now. We should at least let RBG get to pistol rounds. I'm saying that to myself right now because I'm getting right into the... What was that?
You said pistol rounds. You mean rifle rounds?
Rifle rounds. Yeah, you know,
okay.
Guns. Better guns. I'm getting a little doom and gloom on myself. It's still very early days on Mirage. We just know what this B&B roster can do, and we know what this RBG roster historically can't. So, well, we'll see. We'll see. I would love to be proven wrong. Look, they shocked me last night.
Let's be clear here. You know, regardless of what happens to RBG tonight, they are on the up and coming. They could lose here and get blown up, but it doesn't matter in the long run. They are going to be a dominant force in Premier one way or another. Mm-hmm. It's just going to take a little bit longer.
Well, let's see. Seems like they want to end on B. That would be the wrong answer. They still got options, but that bomb in the courtyard does make me a little suspicious. Still, they're not getting information. Now they're kind of poking out connection, so that's actually going to trigger the bomb to bail. I think they're going to bring it down underpass. Yeah, they're going to end on A. No, they're walking into this. All right, this is the Bad News Bears classic. Identify where the stack is.
And go into it.
Go into it. Fight through it. Intentionally put yourself in the way of all these pistols. They are going to move the bomb off. Walco getting a kill with the deagle will definitely persuade them of this. And they got control all the way through ticketing towards CT spawn. So they're not going to fight the stack this time. The stack's going to cut to them. Swisher's going to get 1. Swisher's almost going to get 2. Not getting into the situation where he gives it the reload. That was Alter, who nearly had an ace clip except for the reload. Chop.
Oh, nice nade.
Perfect nade. Perfect nade from Sponge. He knew where he had to be. He knew he was low. Boom. Done.
Mike, I do not exaggerate when I say this at all. It is the first time in these playoffs that the Bad News Bears have spotted the pistols and gone to the other bomb site. They have taken the fight every single time, and they backed off there. I mean,
A badge of honor for RBG, perhaps. Part of it is just the nature of Mirage, in that you can bail towards the site very effectively. You know, you've got the players on catwalk, you've got the guy all the way through ticket, you know it's safe. But here we go. We've got a player under the belt. That's what we traditionally call the Spongy's pop. But this time it's Walco. They are going to clear him. It's a 1-for-1. John G does falter. Entry fragger down. Smokes on site. Flashes on site. Wiz trying his luck. Had a lot of luck yesterday, particularly on Inferno through some of these smokes. And they're going to be able to get the plant. Denied. There we go. Huge kill. Alter with the trade. He doesn't expect another in the position. Keep funneling out. It's left to Spongy and Peter. Sponger. It's the couple name. You bring the fight on through. They've got one player isolated. Spongy makes it work. No smoke to cover off this cross, though. And that could be a bit problematic. They've got to fight in. It's going to be a brawl. Wiz, he's burning. Bomb's been retrieved. They know Wiz is in the corner, and, well, Peter's just going to leave.
That's a weird retrieval.
Oh, no, it's getting better. It's getting better. Spongy's still doing damage on site, and there's plenty of time to transfer off. Wolf is committed into this angle. Spongy's just going to have to try and find him. Meanwhile, clearing in towards site, but why would Wolf think he's left? Goes to check, and boom, he hits the dirt. A chance for RBG, an advantage. And it's ripped away.
Oh. Yeah. 4-0 for the Bad News Bears. I mean,
you know what?
Sorry,
John, you know what's really funny? Is that was Spongy and Peter again, the same duo that pulled off the Ninja Defuse against them on Overpass in the 5th round.
I was about to say, it's just memories of Overpass right now, right? Yeah, it's just feeling exactly the same as it did last time. I mean, obviously, it was a really well-played round for the Bad News Bears last time they won that, when Peter snuck onto the bomb, but another 2v3 that went awry for RBG. Good close-range engagement here against Alter, but man, it's just winning the aim duels are the Bad News Bears. They're that good.
I mean, that was also nice flash usage. They didn't discount the position. They knew that something had to be happening here, so they clear for that aggression top mid. You don't necessarily expect a player right around the corner. A lot of players will play like just under the lip there. Is a good angle, but either way, the flashbang's going to account for it and set you up for the fight. Wow, that one's just a straight in dry entry. Beautifully done for Alter. He's been feeling it through these two maps. That is for sure. And right now they're feeling a bone plant.
Okay.
Jamji's feeling a little under the weather. Courtesy of some lead.
No, I don't know if much is going to matter, Mike.
Nah.
Bad News Bears are already on the B site. Yeah, they're probably just going to try and grab that gun and save it. Wolf and Hext. Wolf covering Hext while he grabs the AK. And that's going to be that. Yeah, let's hightail it out of here. Take this AK and reset for the following round. So another 5-0 lead for the Bad News Bears is going to come in. And I mean, what does RBG have to do? This
They're going to get
so
ops.
tough. Yeah, I mean, that is one thing, right? On Mirage, it's an opper's paradise. You can have a lot of fun with the AWP on this map. But the same goes for the T. It's not just CT side that can do that. T side as well. So you still have Peter to deal with every single round.
I don't even know that I'd describe it as a... Like, yeah, there are very strong op angles, but it's tricky to make it work, right? Because the angles are pretty predictable. You're going to have your window peak.
Right.
You're going to have your connector peak. You're going to have your hold towards ticket. The way the Bad News... I'm more familiar with the Bad News Bears as Mirage. I will be honest, I didn't expect RBG to let this through the veto. So I'm not as familiar with the setups on this map. But the way the Bad News Bears like to play with their ops, they like to either feature both in mid with a fast cat jump, or they like to put John G locking down the apartments with the secondary AWP and then have Peter kind of float.
Right. I mean, but we'd be lying to ourselves if we didn't say that Mirage is a place where the ops can dominate, right? So
certainly.
Just holding ticket, right, all the way towards connector. The ticket's so powerful on CT side, right? You see connector, you see T-ramp. You can also get visibility into Palace, so you can dominate from that position, especially if you have a rifler supporting you from underneath Palace. Yeah, I mean, we'll see, right? RBG might be able to do that for themselves here eventually, and Wiz is going to get the op up and running. He's running the goose egg right now in terms of frags, but this is the round where we need to see him. Where is that Wiz from yesterday?
The Wiz kid. See if you can bloom once more. We're going to get aggression out of the connector. Alter, he's positioned top mid to hold for it. He's been spotted. Oh, heck, going to get an opening pick. Oh, and there's the second as well. It's starting to work out. Spongy will bring it back one. Some damage has been done on the remaining two, and they're locked out of A, which is a bit problematic. Smokes, nades, going to go through. Hex, lucky to survive that one. Gains with 9. He's going to go through the smoke. A little ballsy. Swisher, knowing the players on the other side, not going to land a bullet of that spam. Are you kidding me? Swisher's going to watch this demo back and be so frustrated that he didn't hit that. Because one bullet would have done it. Maybe two. Bomb is down, and they've got the post plant to play off of. RBG with an advantage. They can't let this one slip them by again. They do. Tension. Got it with a knife here. They're hesitating to go in. They're starting to run out of clock. Utility's coming back through. Spongy's continuing to do damage, but it's all going to be Spongy. And no, he cannot hang on. Defuse will be on an RBG. They're on the board.
If you don't take that round, you might as well just, be done with the match, right?
John, Wiz doesn't have a kill yet.
I know. I was about to mention that. It's just he didn't get anything done with the AWP in the previous round. Now he's going to get another crack at it. If he can find his rhythm, RBG can come back here on Mirage. I feel it for sure. And Wolf was really good with the op. We saw yesterday, actually, it was a nice adjustment that RBG made mid-game where Chop was designated as their secondary op, and they said, look, it's not working. Give it to Wolf. Go back on the rifle. That's what's been working for you, Chop. And Wolf did an excellent job despite the fact they lost Dust 2 and 6 overtimes. He still was popping off. And there he goes. As I'm talking about him getting the opening frag here for his squad to make it a 5v4.
A disadvantage early for the Bad News Bears. The response. Bring bodies back towards A. Got some control in the courtyard and John G. Actually chilling in underpass. Might just try and lurk this one out. Top mid smoke thrown to keep these players here. It's not a bad read. It is Hex who's going to be tested. Interesting that the op, despite the fact that they have two, not positioned here. There's one with that cat feed. One focused in towards B. John G gets deleted by Walco. That's a good kill to have. If he goes down, the Opera is suddenly very threatened. Hex will be pushed off, tagged as well on his exit. But now he's got the information for his team. They're going to move in to try and get a bomb plant. Seems like we're going to get another 3-man outpost plant. Problem is there's now 5 on the other side. Get another crack on it. Bomb going down. Not going to be denied, at least for the moment. Alter plants it fairly open as well, so they can control from ramp. Spongy's going to work his way in towards Sandwich. We saw nades come in here previously. Spongy's actually getting forward on the smoke. He wants this fight. He wants this aggression. As long as the smoke's still up, he feels comfortable with it. His teammates get a hold for Khan. Spongy takes one. Spongy's looking for more. They're all over the place. Spongy is laying down the law, but he can't hold on forever. And now Alter is trying to buy time. Dancing around the firebox. Dancing around the flames. They're coming swinging for him. There's the jump. There's the hop. But they both got ops, and eventually Wiz will get it done with the USP.
There we go.
That's a hell of a way to crack onto the board. Welcome to the game, Wiz. And RBG chain 2.
Yeah, so RBG, I mentioned in the pregame that RBG don't necessarily do well in Mirage, but I do have to give them a little bit of credit, right? In the playoffs so far, on the map, they played Choco Check and won 19-17 in overtime on Mirage, and then lost to Recon 5 14-16. But both of those teams are not High Coast, they're not the Bad News Bears, and they're certainly not Extra Salt. So, that's the problem. I mean, you have that confidence built up in the playoffs so far playing on this map, but it's not against the same level of competition. That said, they have 2 wins in a row. Maybe they've got something going here.
Sorry, my backdrop's trying to fall on me.
Oh.
Sabotaged. It's those closest to us sometimes. Physically closest to us. See what we got. Wiz going to be holding the angle. Doing up with Peter. Kind of the battle we wanted to see. We were expecting a little bit more of it on overpass. They're going to go for the bricks boost. They're going to go for the bricks boost, but there's already a player in ladder. This could be really tough. Hex gets a kill. But there's the spot. Joji on the bench. And he has to know there's a second player towards Cat now, so he's going to come to swing, but Wiz is up for it.
Okay.
They're trying to chase this. Wiz. Be back in. Cracking that first kill. Brought him life. The 3v4 now. But the Bad News Bears have positioned in towards middle. Has this been checked? Is anyone aware of this? Is the shutter broken? Is my next question. Or can Swisher just walk through? Ooh, things are going to get heated. Good kill for Wolf. He goes back to check it just in time. Finds Swisher. The player in Sandwich Hex is being cleared for. They're ready for him. They don't have the numbers for this. They're going to have to fight in towards ticket. Welko, I think, was spotted. There's going to be the check. What a shot for Peter as he hits the dirt. Lane will come back in. And it's down. Catwalk and CT, both with ops, trying to clear back in. But if they're not given the fight, this retake's going to be tough with the double op. They're going to probably try and swing for this angle. They're at least set up for it, but Wolf's going to have to clear into them. Meanwhile, Wiz getting a bit closer. Wolf trying to come around the angle. He's going to drop the Molotov. Goes to the sidearm. Does it with a 5-7, trying to bait this shot. There's the shot. He gets the kill, but it's the player lower. Peter manages to get around, brings out the rifle for this last. Oh, and Wiz, he'll hold
what a
for it.
play!
Tapping, shooting, and RBG 3 in a row. Okay, we got a game on our hands here, John.
There we go. Yes. Wiz going to find it there. Nice tap. He was playing that to perfection. Knew exactly where Peter was. Thanks to that peek from Wolf, and let's not forget, that was a nice shot from Wolf, close range, with the op to open things up for his teammate on that retake, and then Peter couldn't really do much because the advantage was definitely Wiz's in that round. I was going to say, RBG looked in control that round early on. Bad News Bears again coming back, but this time around, mid-round, the adjustments are being made by RBG, and they're getting the victories they need. So they're up to 3 now. Bad News Bears might be on a pistol buy up here, Mike. I'm not sure how their economy's looking. No. Sorry,
Yeah, they got
my
cash.
mistake. They still got enough cash. So we'll
And
be
we know
pistol
this.
buy up in the following round if they lose it.
We know how this Bad News Bears roster likes to operate. Well, by the following round, they'll have max loss bonus, right? This would be the 4th round loss in a row. So if they get a bump, they'll just keep going. Most likely. Knowing this roster. Another test on. A big change here has been the emergence of Wiz. He's only 3 and 5 on the board, but these 3 kills have come in the last 2 rounds. And it's a nice change for them. Wiz pressure here. Not going to be able to get the first shot, but he does drop a Molotov to keep himself alive, keep himself comfortable. That overwhelmed shot is coming in. Wiz hits a no-scope.
A blind.
All right.
scope.
Blinded as well. Okay, bomb down on towards Tetris. Everybody's here on the scopes. The problem is with the bomb going down, they are committed to the angle. What a shot for Spongy. Flying out of the yaps. He will get the kill, but the problem is now he's going to burn. And he's not going to be able to get away from this one. No chance in hell. Trying to just pull off a cheeky play lurking out. Janji gets shut down, and the faster play for the Bad News Bears off of the pause doesn't work. No bomb plant here means they're certainly not going to have enough to buy. And the Bad News Bears now searching for answers.
Yeah, and look at this. Walco's having a nice little resurgence here with 10 frags on the board. And, you know, Walco is sitting at the bottom of the stat sheet in the playoffs, and in fact, even in the regular season, wasn't necessarily fragging out. He used to be their top frag consistently in advance before they promoted to Premier. He was at the top last season, 330 frags. Again at the top as Janji's going to take down Chop here with the CZ. This could get dangerous, the Bad News Bears having those pistols. And now might be able to upgrade to a rifle there. But yeah, Mike, Walco's no stranger to being at the top of the scoreboard, so maybe he'll find some magic here for his squad.
Just might. The Bad News Bears hoping for some aggression here. They're hoping someone comes looking. Walco has found the space. The man you were talking about, he's all the way through the ramp. So if they try to eventually finish A, good luck. In the meantime, though, the Bad News Bears seem to be making some inroads here towards B. They've got this rifle now to play with for Janji. 2 players on site, one tucked up in the ninja spot too. That's a Wolf. So he's going to try and play that as long as he possibly can. Look right up in the box in the corner site. Hex back, can come back to support. They've actually got 3 crosshairs potentially on the site, but they're going to try and overwhelm. Here comes the first shot. Wiz hits it. Wolf there for the second. And Wolf is making it work, making it look good. Peter, the trade, but Peter with 2. The scout is brought into action. The rifle's still the one that's out, but Hexed up to the task, up to the challenge. Stands strong. Tied scoreline here for RBG. That was looking so very dangerous. Thought we were going to have another Hero Peter scout round. But it was not to be. A pause comes back in. I would assume this is from the Bad News Bears.
Yeah, it is.
Because they are starting to get into very dangerous territory.
Yeah, they are. RBG is coming on very strong. Good to see from them. Bad News Bears just don't really have the answers right now to this resurgence. 5 rounds in a row. Start things off for the Bad News Bears, and the RBG responds with exactly the same thing. You saw Hex come in there with a nice 2K. Wiz is heating up. He almost had that 2K with Peter being his next victim. But Peter, even when he has very little health, he's so dangerous. Scout or op, man.
Or P250.
Yeah, the Pete 250.
They don't call him the Dirty Peak for nothing. Where are we going to go? Seems like they might want to go for a little bit more of a fight towards top mid. Wiz going to try and check that, but for now, at least he's going to be pushed off. One thing about RBG, they do tend to give up this initial mid fight quite quickly. They're going to put a player in ladder as a response, and one towards Khan. Walco tries to check one, but he's going to get traded by the second. Ganchi was almost a bait in that instance. Wolf is trying to just push on in. He's up on the blue sofa. He's going to chill here in the corner, but now another player's gone in towards mid. And the numbers are starting to get a bit dire. Wolf's going to try and take his space, but there's someone in the kitchen. And they're cooking up a spicy meal. Now a major advantage for the Bad News Bears. 5v2. Certainly there's no way this comes back around. But Chop and Hex will give it their absolute best. There's not a lot of money to spare despite 5 rounds in a row for RBG. So this is a bit concerning as their loss bonus is now down to nilch. Zippo, 0. Here's the spot. Hex gets 1. Is he going to get traded? He's being chased in towards the connector. He knows it, but he's ready for the fight. Well done for Hex standing up strong for the team. They're chasing him through. Why? They keep going. They're not ready for this. There's going to be 1 kill. Does he realize the second's in? He does now. Certainly, Nade going to go in to do the first bit of damage, and Chop is now cut down to half. All on Chop now. Molly to chase him out into the crosshair of his teammate. They know where he's at. They know where he's moving. But likewise, he's got their positions locked in. 29 seconds, and he's just going to leave. Do they realize he went under the connector? They should know from the Molotovs, but I don't think they spotted him. Well, now this is getting kind of weird. Yeah, okay, they did know he was in towards mid, but they figured he'd stay there. Chop going to go all the way around and come out underpass. There's a chance here. 15 seconds in the round. They just got to go quick. Bomb's been retrieved. 10 seconds. They got to go. Is he going to go all the way around towards B, assuming that's where they'd head?
Yeah.
Okay, he's made a guess. It's been very incorrect. Bomb plant, no problem here. And now a 2v1 with Chop way out of position. Peeks around. He wins that fight! Chop! What a response. Spongy couldn't connect the bullet, but Swisher now knows where the player's coming from. Still down to the 1v1. For Swisher, it's a time game. Play it as long as you possibly can.
Oh.
Chop just trying to clear spots. The nade goes towards Firebox. That's not going to happen. Here comes the tip. He's just going to stick it. He's going to stick it. Swisher's not going out. He's going to get the defuse. Swisher doesn't check it. Didn't believe him. And while Swisher will get the final kill, he cannot win the round.
Oh my goodness, Chop.
Pros don't fake.
That was a great play. I mean, he cycled around towards Cat really quickly, and we can't forget that Hex started this all here for RBG with a great little 3K. Peter being his last victim, but yeah, that was excellent for Chop. Got the frag from Cat into connector and just sticks the defuse. He's the clutch playoff performer for RBG, and he continues to deliver here. The 6-5 lead that possibly shouldn't have been. Wiz going to take a shot here, misses it, and he's going to have to back off.
Really saved their bacon in this. They were out of money. Now they're going to follow it up. Wolf, his aggression towards apartments works out this time. Playing around the smoke. Well done. Man advantage, but they're going to bring the pressure on towards A, and this is a good read. There's only 2 bodies here. They're both positioned in towards the ramp, so John's just going to be able to walk out of this smoke. Now, someone will be coming to reinforce from jungle, so there's a little bit of a timer on this one. Re-smoke in ramp indicates to Spongy that someone's right close up. That molly bounce is wrong. Going to flush the players out into his teammates. They've got a lot of control towards the jungle. There's a player ticket. There's a kill for Peter. That sections off the rotations. That could make it very difficult indeed. But the Bad News Bears, they haven't cleared ramp. They haven't gotten these kills. They need more. Spongy trying to come in. There's one more player there. No, never mind. Dealt with. Peter has it. Bomb plant on. Control from the connector. And now it's all onto Wiz. And with the money in the dumpster, well, he tries to go for it. He tries to force it. Finally, the Bad News Bears answer. That was 6 rounds in a row for RBG. But because of the way they were won, there's no money left, John.
Yeah, the tank is empty and they realize they're in a double save situation, so why not try to make it work with the Deagles here? It's going to be Deagles across the board. What little utility they can afford is a smoke and 2 flashes, so we'll see how they use those. Probably going to be on the A site. Yeah, there's 1 flash already thrown to try and stop a quick push, but the Bad News Bears have a ton of utility to work with. They're going to molly off connector, smoke off window, and take control immediately. And I mean, RBG were already giving it to them, realizing they can't really contest too much. Now, there is a nice stat here for RBG.
Look at this push in Palace.
We'll get back to it.
Welko's come all the way through. They've got control in the kitchen. And Welko's coming out the Palace. Spongy's jumping for this. But so if Welko comes down, to be seen. Meanwhile, we lose a body in towards mid, but it's this duel here on the flanks that matters most. There's the spot. Spongy knows. Spongy knows. Welko, you better go back in. You're going to be in for some pain. Smoke out. That's odd. Does Welko think it's safe? It's not. And all that flank was for naught. All right, John, back to your story.
Yeah, no, what I was going to say was RBG aren't a team that get down psychologically. They're always up for the comeback, and Alter's going to get a nice headshot here on Chop. 5v2. Wolf comes back and finds one on Swisher. Could get a second on Spongy, who's trying to creep up here. Picks up the AK, and he finds it. Okay, RBG not out of this round yet, and Hex might be able to surprise them. Coming from Market, Peter peeks around, takes a shot and misses. Hex gonna sneak in here, everyone looking in his direction. He gets another one on Alter, finds Peter as well! Hex popping off for the 3K, ladies and gentlemen! RBG are gonna win the round! How on earth does it happen? That was an eco, and the Bad News Bears, oh, their nightmare of losing on those types of rounds comes back, Mike.
What was that, a 4v2?
Yeah, it was.
The heck happened there? Oh, the first shot. The second.
Oh,
the third.
goodness.
This was ridiculous. Snaps to the player as he's jumping through the air. Absurd aim coming through with a deagle from Hex. Just unreal. All right, this is the Hex that we were promised. This is the Hex that was missing yesterday. He is showing up.
You didn't let me say my point either, Mike.
Sorry, John. It was nuts.
Jeez, no, not you. Him as well, because going to come out here and get Alter. Swisher and Jonji get things back under control, but here's the threat that we were watching yesterday. Wiz comes back and makes a 3v3.
Peter's holding for this. Peter's ready for it. There's the flash. There's the kill. He even got tagged. He got legged. Wiz, ridiculous. And he's going to set up Wolf for the trade. It's a headshot regardless, but it's going to come down to a 1v2. Chop, he just has the MP9. If he can maybe find one of them deagles. That's worked out real well for them. Swisher's going to be up for the fight. The bomb will be planted, and Swisher deals with it. So there we go. The Bad News Bears crack back on, and again, the money's... There's none of it. There's none of it for RBG, but presumably they'll bring the deagles here again, because it's the last round and a half, and we'll see. That might just be enough.
This feels like yesterday's matchup now, Mike. I'm getting that vibe again.
A little bit. I will say... in fairness to the Bad News Bears, based on what we've seen from them on Mirage, it is that CT side that is most dangerous. That's where they really bring their plan to fruition. They've got a very strong setup, and they're very tough to handle for a lot of teams.
And one thing for RBG, by the way, is that they have 2 reverse sweeps so far in these playoffs in 4 matches. You see, against Recon 5, they lost to Mirage 14-16, and then came back on Inferno and Overpass, won 19-16 and 16-9, as Peter's going to get tagged up down to 23. And also against Choco Check, lost on Nuke 9-16, then won on Mirage 19-17, and finally on Inferno 16-7. And a common thread there is that overtime has always occurred in the second map in those reverse sweeps.
I do love them some OT, this RBG roster. I think they just go for the endurance approach. Outlast your opponents. That's the strategy. That's the new meta in Counter-Strike.
Oh, nice round here for BNB, Mike.
Yeah, they're making this look clean. They're trying to take this last round and a half. We'll see if Wiz or Wolf can pull something incredible out. Oh, Wiz going to be burning, and he's down. All onto Wolf. Pull off a crazy deagle clip over towards the B site. He needs one more. This would be even better. First lined up. If he can hit the shot, takes a few too many, and Johnson will actually kill his teammate to secure the half victory. We'll be back after this 8-7.
Miserable. Won't you stick around just for some be visible? But you don't know, you don't care. Leave me to suffer, erase all the doubt. Pouring Jack in my mouth, in love with enough of the pain and the drugs to be present for now. But I'm right now, I don't wanna wake up messed up, 'cause I can't spend another day like this. Another type of kicked up, break up, where I've been finding any way to my fix. I know I need for the last time. This ain't a song, it's a battle cry. No life. I see the clue between the strobe lights. I'm haunted. Black face, hey, follow me around, okay, black face, hey, follow me around, okay, used to want it bad, used to want it bad, but I can't taste it, I can't help you now, okay, follow me around, okay, black face, hey, follow me around, okay, push follow me around, okay, black face, hey, follow me around, okay, push got too much up on my plate, now I can't think. I said woke up to get X and now I'm feeling this is it. Want the money, want the rest. I do purse, not no cess. They say Don, it's why you sad. I said I just need to think. Red tape, got too close, I hate the city. Black face, show you every.
All right, we're back for the second half here. 8-7 was the scoreline. A slim lead for the Bad News Bears, but considering they started 5-0, perhaps not what we were expecting. 6 rounds in a row for RBG, then a slight exchange at the end, and this is where it rests. John, how are you feeling going into half 2?
Very, very good for RBG. They went on an 8-2 run to finish off that first half of action. It feels like they found their rhythm again, that rhythm that got them going last night on Dust 2 when things were really crazy. They didn't win Dust 2, but that's when you really felt like things were going back and forth, and RBG just hit another gear for themselves. Even after finding that win on Inferno, it's just Dust 2 that convinced us that something special was happening with RBG, and I'm starting to feel it again here. We'll see if RBG can continue, but you called it out earlier, Mike, that the Bad News Bears CT side is something else.
That it is. That it is. We're going to look for an aggressive mid-fight. They love to go for it. They're going to get the double up as soon as they possibly can. We're going to see Spongy locking down the A site from what I like to call the Spongy spot, under balcony. And we'll see what RBG bring to the table to try and unseat that. Now, everything that I've said, if RBG's been doing their homework, which you know they have, it's RBG, very viewable in previous matches. We're going to get a fight in the apartments early. Swisher's going aggressive with it. Got Jonji with him. And here comes the hit, and this time it works out for RBG. We saw that exchange in the first half get a little bit awkward. They're going to have to get past Peter again. Peter, tapping over that pistol. Teammate on the site, and there's the swing, there's the kills. It's all working out for RBG. What a way to get started here in half number 2. Wolf, while planting, almost served as bait for the one-for-one exchange. It's going to be down to Spongy, but it is Spongy. This man is a legend in the clutch. Really going for that spam. But we're giving him the fight. Wiz, you don't need to do that. You got a teammate to hold the angle. They're trying to bait him back in, but here comes the swing. It's a player just on the other side. He's only got 10 bullets at this point in the gun, 2 to spare. They're just tight to the right. Knew that it was likely going to be there, but Walker was just waiting for him to come far enough around the corner for the damage to be done, and there it is. There's RBG on the board with the pistol, tying up this scoreline. And John, I get the feeling we might have a bit of a fight on our hands.
Oh, yes, we definitely will. That's RBG not typically winning the pistol rounds, but there they find it, so that's a nice little added bonus. That said, the Bad News Bears and their 4 spies are also extremely scary. 4 Deagles and Peter, Dirty Peek with that scout. We saw him on Nuke, Mike, come out with one of the most impressive scout sequences we've seen in quite some time.
He's a legend. A legend, that Pete, the scout no-scope entry around a corner to trade his teammate. It's unreal when called upon. That mobile sniper. We got Spongy in the Spongy spot. He's going to get cleared out. They knew about it. They checked for it. The plan can go in. He was isolated from his teammates. Sometimes what they like to do is they like to set up a crossfire using that Spongy spot as bait. But this time there were so many smokes. It wasn't a possibility. So far so good. And at this point, these two remaining players just want to see what they got. Never mind. They will all die.
Well, Peter got 1, but, that's it.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and as a result, the Bad News Bears are going to have to save on this round. Just the USPSs, more than likely. They could upgrade. Actually, Peter could get a P250, but I don't think he's going to want to. He wants to get that op up and running as soon as possible, so he's going to save this money into the next round.
Zeus's.
Oh, goodness.
Deuces of Zeus's. Spongy and Janji got them both. I
I think
actually
they do
like
it
this
for
call.
you, Mike.
I think they do, but I also think they do it for themselves. Because right now, look, it's getting a little tense, right? You're looking at this and you're going, yeah, we 16-1 them on the first map. What's going on here, guys, on Mirage? So how do you get smiles back on your faces? Couple quick Zeus skills. Spongy right outside of Palace, waiting to see if someone will come out. Janji waiting right under the apartment's window. Jump to your very electric death, he says. Please and thank you. And they're going to come this way. Okay, all right, yeah, please, Mr. Observer, just stay on Janji Cam. As I say that, swaps away. Get Janji Cam. This is what I need. Can he get the Zeus kill? Nothing else in this round matters. No, Janji, commit. Commit to your instincts. You had the right idea. Don't leave it. Come back. Yeah, okay. He's coming back. He's coming back. They're coming around. They're dropping some utility in apartment, so that's going to draw him back through. We need to know if he's going to be able to pull this off. Blinded. And Janji get this Zeus kill. Everything hinges upon it. There are 4 players stacked in sight. I don't care about the rest of these fights. I'm committed into this angle, and oh, they've detected presence. They're bailing out. And I am going to be very sad. I don't know that Janji will be given this opportunity, especially as Peter gets that kill, and no. Okay, we're allowed to go off Janji Cam now. Disappointed, but that's the way it goes. He's trying with the USP, now the Zeus is out of play. Spongy's come all the way back around through from ramp. Kind of tricky to make the Zeus work from that angle, but I believe in Spongy. Ah, someone's looking for him. It's not going to happen. No Zeus kills in this round. They don't want me to be happy, John. They don't want me to be happy.
It's all right. I mean, Hex is going to clean out Swisher, and Peter did upgrade to the rifle previously and finds himself a couple of frags. Not all is lost yet for the Bad News Bears into this round, but of course, RBG getting that plant. Wow. I don't know what I was going to say. Yeah, I have no idea what word was coming out of my mouth there, but regardless.
The bomb plant. Bomb plant.
Yeah.
Plomped.
There you go.
I speak it. It's caster jumble speak. It's when you have 2 words, two dueling thoughts, and then come out as one.
Wiz is going to catch off Peter here, Mike. And Alter is going to hightail it out of there. He got the AK, so he's happy with that, as the Bad News Bears didn't invest much into that round. Now here they come back on their rifle buy-up as RBG going to take a 2-round lead.
Opts out, though. Opts out for Pete. Can they get the second? No. No, that wasn't available to them financially. You want to see where he's going to take it. Secondary op, he's going to go straight in for the window peak. No business, no muss, no fuss. Got someone set up for the top mid smoke, but they're not going to come towards mid. Instead, it seems like pressure's going to come on towards A. And for once, Spongy's not in the Spongy spot. They're moving 3 in towards the Palace. It's going to be Alter and Spongy. That is not a sentence I should say again. I'm going to have to figure out that call. Here's going to be the check from Alter. He gets 1. Comes flying out. We'll leave my unfortunate word choice for later. And they've been rebuffed. They're bailing out. So plan A is out the window for RBG. What's the adjustment here? Seems like they're going to leave this. Take some presence in towards mid. This works out very nicely now. Puts the doubt in their mind. They've got the clock to play with, to work this through, to go for multiple pronged assault in towards A. It's not going to happen just yet. Wiz, close up. There's the flashbang. There's the clear. Here's the kill. No! Wiz comes away with it. Alter, what happened there? That is not a kill. We've seen him miss much. Oh, and that could be catastrophic for Bad News Bears now. RBG swinging back around. They've drawn the rotation there, going quick on towards B. That's the response. Get the kill, draw the focus, bail. Janji will likely be back in the angle to respond to it, but he's going to need to get some nasty frags on. Because otherwise they're just going to overwhelm. They're going to come barreling into the site. Is Janji ready for this? Gone out. Back towards the bench. Here comes the util, and no kills found. Damage, but not enough. Bomb down, round over. Swisher seems like he wants to try this. This is a bold peak, to say the least. He will take the first. Can he get away? Spongy's got one isolated in the market. He knows it, and Swisher's getting more kills, but Spongy can't win his fight. Swisher on a 1v2. Knows where one player is. Has a read on the second, but Wiz will still come out on top. And that is RBG climbing to a 3-round lead here. Truth.
Hey, I'm surprised you didn't learn about calling the rounds too early there, Mike, as RBG did manage to close that down. And the Bad News Bears don't pull it off, but still, it got close.
Yeah, it certainly did. Let's see. We'll top mid control here. They're training them not to peek in. There's an op for Peter. About all they got going for him. Deagle's around it. It's not quite the tag 'em and bag 'em approach with the scout and the Deegs. It's the tag 'em and destroy them.
Jonji.
Wolf clear for this. He held this himself. He's not going to clear for it. Jonji's waiting for more, but Wolf swings around. Has to go for it. Wanted the trigger discipline. Wanted to see if there was more coming, but eventually Wolf's like, you know, I held in Kitchen a couple rounds. Maybe I should turn around. Still, it's a gun gained. It's a body dropped. And that's controlled towards the B side of the map. Denied. Shut down. Taken from them. Peter's even going to hold this angle deep, so if they come back around and that op's in play, they're going to lose some casualties trying to take the space. He also ferried the AK over to Swisher, who's now going to move it on towards A, so that's a nice detail. The low HP player not going to hold on to the rifle. Just giving it up. They throw a smoke for a take here. And getting at least somebody's out towards ramp. Spongy has slid into his eponymous spot, but Amali will chase him out. He's still going to get this kill. That's why he's so dangerous here ordinarily. He makes the support. He's managed to get back behind the default box. He will be burning once again, and eventually these flames will find him. But his teammates on the RBG side, they're going away. Chop and Wiz will be able to get a bomb plant here, perhaps. Wiz trusting they're not going to peek in. His teammate will be able to keep him safe, but not for long. Not forever. Chop tried his best, but his best wasn't quite enough here. The round will be taken. The Bad News Bears will be walking out of it with 2 ops up, John.
Yeah, that's really, really good for them. RBG did do the damage at the very least. Saw Chop getting a couple of frags, so it's going to make it an expensive round, but when you save 4750 times 2 with both those ops, it helps immensely vying to this next round for the Bad News Bears, who do get their first round on the board here in the second half of action. RBG will have enough money here, but I think they're going to call it tactical. It could be actually the Bad News Bears.
No, it's the RBG taking
it?
it, which
Okay,
which makes sense. They want to discuss what they're doing here because this is the round where either you can dominate or you can let things slip back. It's what we saw in the first half, right? Bad News Bears ran 5 in a row to start the half, and then suddenly RBG in full swing. That would be the case here again. There was actually 4 rounds in a row before the answer from Bad News Bears, and now a chance for them to build. The investment is going to come through. They want to bring it. That almost got away from Jonji.
Yeah, it really did.
Love the discipline play. There's a reason why often what you'll see players do is they'll track the one with the crosshair while keeping the peripheral to see for a second player. But he wanted to see once the first player had gone past if the second through would clear it, so he swaps his crosshair placement onto the next one up.
Some aggression here, Mike, into T ramp. Wolf and Chop to get caught off. I think Peter's playing on the A site. Yeah, he's over at Ticket, and Jonji's at the B site. So they're splitting up the ops this time. Don't necessarily mind it.
What they're doing is they're moving Swisher deep in towards the apartments, courtesy of the op, having that presence to sort of zone out the space.
Alter's giving his position away now.
He has, but the deep smoke already gave it away, right? You don't smoke this deep without having some sort of a push through, and now they put another one in. He's going to be backing off from the Molotov, doesn't want to get caught there, doesn't want to get isolated, and that's what they were trying to do. With all of this control in the apartments, I'm surprised that Jonji hasn't moved off a little bit, maybe taking more presence towards Catwalk. He's going to allow a player up connector as a result. They know this is a possibility, though. He's going to come to hit. Peter wants to be the first connection. There, connector, Walco holding this Catwalk presence, but if he moves through, he'll likely get spotted. Amali in. Jonji was thinking there might be the fast play on towards B. No, they're coming out A. This is decidedly the hit and need to chase. That's not enough. Alter has to swing because the Molotov and kills are coming in hot and heavy. 3 found for RBG. This bomb going down, and this is a safe call, most likely. Jonji almost caught one through the shutter. But having not pulled the trigger, I think the Bad News Bears are going to have to sit on what they got.
Yeah, I think I like the idea for the Bad News Bears, right? You go for that aggression both in the can't think of the name right now, Mike. It's killing me. But over at the B tunnels, yeah. Upper tunnels.
Upper tunnels courtyard is what I call it.
Yeah, whatever. I'm like losing my words right now. Apartments, yeah. I don't know
That's
why.
what we were looking for? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I said the right thing the first time. But anyway, to get back to my point and stop jumbling my words, and I like the move into the apartments, having the aggression there and having the aggression from Alter into T-Ramp. But it was an excellent Molotov thrown by RBG that forces Alter out, and then that lets them get their execute going. Not to mention that the Bad News Bears left mid wide open, right? And then it let Walco get in, who found 2 frags.
I'm a little surprised by that too, because previously what we've seen them do when they have both ops up is they've gone for sort of a fast cap and a window peek to really put the op presence in, but they tried to play it light there, and it cost them. Top mid smoke's going to get thrown, but the fast cap works out for Peter. In this round, where's the secondary op moving? Jonchi's going to be locking down apartments, and they're coming fast, hot and heavy onto him. Almost looks like a rush, not quite. But everybody's on the side of the map. They've got no information top mid, nothing towards A. So this is almost certainly going to finish B. They're just hesitating a moment. Holding a tick before going for the faster play. Jonchi trying to peek this around. He's going to flash for it. Players coming out. They're dropping down. He's going to spot, but not be able to get the kill. The flashbang blooms in his face, and now they're bringing the pressure, but he hits. He hits the first. He's good for it, and all of a sudden, all the dominoes fall. And Bad News Bears are left standing, and Wiz trying to hang on to something here for his team. He's out in the open. There's just no surviving it. Bad News Bears find double digits. They're just 2 rounds back. And RBG, I think, have a decision to make here. Yeah, they're not typically the team that we see forcing into these situations, and they're not going to be here. Wow, very conservative. Okay, guys, you had a little bit of cash. This is overly conservative, I would say, but just gonna go for blocks.
Yeah, but Wolf's going to get naded down. He was trying to go for an aggressive play into the apartments. Down to 51 now. Swisher's got a lock on it, so Wolf has to be careful. He's just trying to lurk and open up some space for his teammates, who are still hanging back around the opening of T-spawn here. Bomb is dropped behind Hext and Walco as they're going to go for a run boost down mid. It could work out. I mean, you have some aggression from Alter, who's now looking the other way, so if they can catch him off, that could open up a ton of space, although he is being watched carefully by Peter, as Peter is going to catch off Hex, and then Alter gets Wiz. That's actually quite a nice play by the Bad News Bears, and Alter will find himself a second one over on Walco, so they are not too fussed by that situation. 5v2, and RBG's pistol round doesn't.
They've seen Chop get in here. The nades committed show that. Now they know where Wolf is. He does get one with the Tech 9, but it's just not much doing. RBG, minimal investment into that, minimal gain out of it. No bomb plan, no nothing. And perhaps we're seeing why there was that minimal investment, because they don't have a lot of capital. They didn't seem confident that they could get a bomb plant out of that round. So now they're going to be bringing the guns. Now they're going to be bringing the thunder. That's the thunder. Lightning. And the thunder, John. Thunder.
Feel the thunder.
We'll see if they can do it.
Peter
might have a duel here. Pack's coming through. Whoa, Wiz.
Wiz is so aggressive here. He could catch off Jonchi.
Jonchi doesn't want to go for it. He's got Swisher taking the long angle into the window. There's the flashbang thrown from Swisher. Now he's going to back out of it. Not seeing anybody. Good molly. Deep molly. Going to push them out. And eventually Jonchi's going to get found. He goes for 1 info hop, and it was 1 info hop too many. Wiz not missing much of these. What is this rotation? Everybody's here? What is this rotation for the Bad News Bears? Okay, now they're rotating back with 3. Holy over-rotate, Batman. I think they thought it was a rush coming through after that 1 op pick, but RBG, playing so slow on towards the site, have given the time to actually get back into position here.
Yeah, it's not going to cost the Bad News Bears, but very interesting call.
Yeah, they thought it was an overwhelm approach. Now we'll see if that hesitation comes back to bite RBG, because there's only 40 seconds on the clock. Starting to get just a wee bit concerning as the op is on the scene. The rifles are here. The execute's coming on towards A. And they should be in position to deal with this. He's going to be zoned in towards Palace. See if he can catch Walco as he comes out. But Walco probably won't make a move unless he has to. Trying to hold for this. Chop burns Spongy alive. No getting out of that position apparently. Sure to take 1, and the bodies are coming through. The 2v2, Peter fortunately survives the shot, but he can't get away for the second. Swisher's brought it down to the 1v1. Clutch. Wiz is good for it. 2K for Wiz. This is the Wiz we saw yesterday. In RBG, they hang on to the lead.
Yeah, actually 3 for Wiz into that round. He was just so hot for RBG. That's what they needed. Back on the board with the 13th. They stopped the Bad News Bears from tying it up at 12. And we're going to have another timeout called here.
By RBG.
Interesting.
I think they've got to figure out the money here, perhaps, as well, despite the round win. Pete's having a great game, as is Hexed. That's the duel we're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, look, the last time we saw Hex pull off this type of performance leading his team was against Recon 5, Mike, and he had 73 frags in that series, top frag twice, and in fact, one of the times that he top frag was on Mirage with 27 frags and 21 deaths.
I'm just thinking about this more. This is RBG's worst map, and this is an undefeated map for the Bad News Bears. I do not understand this RBG team at all, but I'll tell you what, it's a pleasure to watch. It just, I'm through trying to predict them. I don't think I can anymore. I don't think I can in good faith ever think I know what's going to happen in one of their games. Oh, Molly through. Bungie rips the head off of the player, playing above the Spongy spot, and this time it's going to get him to Alter's looking for more. Alter's finding more. Alter can't quite get the last, but a 1v3 is what's required of Walco. He does have a minute 20 to work with, John. It's a lot of time.
Honestly, Swisher is not only good with his entries, he's very good in support with the flashbangs. You saw it again there. Wiz was about to pop off again, I think, but an excellent flashbang thrown by Swisher. Supported, I believe it was Spongy peeking around, and that's all she wrote for the RBG squad this round. Walco, the last one standing, 1v3, doesn't have the bomb in his possession. It's gonna be tough. Comes out, goes for the engagement, and will lose it against Swisher. So the Bad News Bears are back into it once more, 1 round away from tying this up.
Pressure on now for RBG. Another pause is going to come through. Imagine this is coming from RBG again. Is it?
It's a tech pause.
Oh, it's a tech.
For RBG, yeah. Oh,
Bummer.
tech, excuse me. It's a tag pause.
All right, John, you're misleading me. Phil has the answers here. Phil is our Magic producer who's been running the show for all of the Premier playoffs. He's been doing a wonderful job of it. He whispers sweet nothings into our ears at times. You guys can't hear him on stream, but, you know, we like to hoard him to ourselves. So it's the primary motivation for getting this job of casting Premier is to get Phil to whisper into your ears.
Yes.
It's the dream. Living the dream, baby.
RBG's not going to have the greatest of buy-ups here, but they're forcing up anyway, Mike. It's going to make it a Deagle, a Tech 9, a Mac 10, actually 2 Deagles, and the last pistol is going to be a P250. They do have a decent chunk of utility here to go for an XU. Could be a quick one towards the B site. They are stalling a little bit, but Hex already has the flashbang ready to throw. Now he's going to pull out the pistol again. 5 of them stacked up here. Bad News Bears are on the outside looking in towards this B bomb site, 1 from Cat and 1 from Market, so there's no bench presence. Perhaps reading that this is going to be a pistol round for RBG, so I do like the play.
Completely blind shot for Peter. Always fun when those timing shots work out, but it's John G who's claimed both players who've actually dropped on towards the site, so now they're locked in. The apartment's trying to get on out. Whoa, Peter actually does get caught there. A little bit awkward, didn't realize how quickly they could get through. Get risky. Molly's gonna spread. Wiz just manages to get the bomb down, so mission accomplished. Yeah, mission accomplished. Round distinctly lost, though. Ops can be retrieved, no problem there. Bad News Bears. They tied it up, John.
Yeah, and that was just an excellent read by the Bad News Bears, because on a map like Inferno, pistols, especially Tech 9s, get really, really dangerous on bomb site B when you're playing bench and van and even on boost spot on site. So when you back off and you play the ops in Market and have 1 from Cat, it plays really well in that situation.
Mirage. So this is Mirage, John.
What did I say?
Inferno.
Well,
it's all right. That's the decider. We'll get there eventually, maybe.
Yeah.
See what RBG can do. They'd like to take us there. They'd like to take us on a little date. And we know RBG likes to play a lot of Counter-Strike in their games. And 13-13, I'm starting to smell a full 30 rounds here. So the air is heavy with it. It's like a jungle right before a rainstorm. Bit of oppressive humidity. We got the tang of OT in the air. This round, though, not going to help RBG's case. They've already lost a player. They don't have a lot of control. It's a little bit soft towards A, but you've got Spongy watching in towards the ramp, and I think he may have seen Chop. Either way, Chop's teammates, not long for this world. Wiz the next one to falter. Wolf's tucked up in the apartments. John G watching this angle. John G very much alone. If Wolf could hit a wild P250 shot, this could be great. Actually, they're going to bring 3 here. So now this is dangerous. John G is very much alone with the AWP, and he doesn't realize the player's gotten over towards his left. What they're going to do is they're probably going to double peek into this. If the Deagle is the shot that connects, this could be very bad for the Bad News Bears. Probably not still around long, but maybe a bit of money cost. Good flashbang. John G's not punished. Able to fall away, no problem. No harm, no foul. Teammates here to support now. Now the rotation comes in. The cavalry comes around. And while some damage is done, John G is good enough to survive. Being chased by Wolf, but that's not going to happen. Not today. Got to get up pretty early in the morning. Catch a John G sleeping.
John G is going to take that one home. As mentioned, 14-13 in favor of the Bad News Bears here on Mirage. Not Inferno. Although my point still stood, Mike. I was talking with the B side on Mirage, of course. But either way, heading into round number 28, RBG kind of reeling a little bit here. That round was kind of a throwaway, though. They're going to come back here with the rifles.
I think we might have a little bit of an issue with this round. Just some clarification here. I think we're going to not play out this round. This one's going to get reset. Something went a little haywire.
Yeah.
That's why we're just flying through the first 30 seconds of it, folks. So, no problem here.
Yeah,
see everybody chilling in spawn. This is just going to need to be reset. No damage has been done, though, so it should be clean and easy, John.
Might even have to do with the previous round.
Well, that would be a bummer.
Okay,
no,
so it'll be 14-13.
So no problem. 14-13, that's what we're going to play from, but that is all to do because it's potentially map point for Bad News Bears if they can win this one. This does give us a chance to talk about it. RBG surprising us here on this map, making a real game of it here on Mirage. Again, this team, just again and again, they surprise. And for being such a young squad, their ability to, as you were talking about earlier in the series, pull off these kind of crazy reverse sweeps, these crazy comebacks and maps, it's unreal.
It really is, and we're trending towards a full 30 being played here. RBG.
John,
Come back here.
Who do you think would win in a fight? A grizzly bear or a panther? I'm assuming that the Bad News Bears is a grizzly. It's a brown bear, certainly, of some variety. Who you got?
I'm going to go with the panther due to its mobility, and I think the bear would just get overwhelmed, although there's that brute force element.
Dude, bears are fast. You don't think bears have mobility? Bears are fast.
I mean, yes, they're fast.
Do you know the classic joke?
To a panther?
Right. I got a joke to tell you, John. 2 guys are out hiking. 2 buddies are out hiking. And they stumble upon a bear. And the bear roars and starts moving towards them, and they run down the trail. They're sprinting away, and they got some initial ground because the bear wasn't moving quickly at first. And one guy stops and starts pulling out his running shoes. He's swapping his hiking boots for his running shoes, and his friend says, "Are you crazy? Your running shoes aren't going to help you outrun a bear." He says, "Yeah, but they'll make me faster than you."
Oh my god. Wow.
Bringing in Pilsky for a Pilsky pause. How'd you like my joke there, Pilsky?
Mike, I would love to comment on it, but actually producer Phil talked right over the punchline and I don't know what it was, so I'm really sorry. I heard Stags are pretty good as well. You know, they seem to be doing pretty well this season. Something's going on there. I think the Bad News Bears are, Logo, the mascot, if you will. I don't think he wants a fight. To me, he's like a Wind in the Willows kind of character, He's just sitting there reading his newspaper, I don't know if you guys have seen Wind in the Willows. That's like childhood vibes for me. So, he just wants to hang out with all his friends there.
That was the one with was that Frog and Toad?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And they had all the little creatures,
the
running around the forest.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I believe I read those books as a young warthog at the It's been a long time, though. It has been many a moon since I was winding in the Willows. Yeah, he looks a little dignified. Educated bear. But, that knowledge, deadlier in a fight. He's got tactics. He's read Sun Tzu. He's read The Art of War. He's read Machiavelli. You know, he's getting in his opponent's head. He's bringing the tactics in here. That panther's going for a straight-up fight. The bear emerges from underground. Guerrilla tactics, done. Dusted.
There you go. All right, how about this matchup, though? You know, forget about it. You know what? Let's find out.
There we go. We're back in. We've got it. Going. I need a little bit of audio here. But otherwise, back into the action. Back into the fun. And boom, there's the audio. Right on cue.
Mike, just an update for everyone out there. It is not 15-13. The score will update after this round. It's 14 rounds for the Bad News Bears. Right?
Yes, we are looking for map point. We don't have map point just yet. See if they can find it. That double op so deadly. They're taking a little bit more of a fighting towards mid. John G has been zoning apartments for most of this map, but instead he's going to be taking a bit of a peek in the window. I've got a smoke ready for him. No vision for you, John. Counter smoke. See the help out connector. But nothing doing yet in terms of damage. Based on positioning right now, it looks like this is going to be a pretty straightforward A-take. Throw your smokes, go on out. And it could be a retake setup for the Bad News Bears as they've got the one fight towards ticket, but nothing else doing. And Spongy, well, he's got the rifle there instead of the op. He wanted to go ahead of this, but a molly down will persuade him that that's not the move. Bomb's going down. It's going to be a 5-on-5 retake. Wolf, the only player who's even taken substantial damage, and he's going to try and fight back in. Right up by the ticket booth, and John G just checking the spot, finds the first. Didn't even need to see the opponent to lay him low. Here's gonna come the kills. Hot and heavy. John G making it all happen so far, but now he's out of play. His teammates, though, doing the work all under Walco. He's found the first, but now they know where he is. A smoke in his face. A kill for him. And he's trying to find this bomb. Wants to swing in, timing everything. But as he tried to play with every possible second, it wasn't quite enough. Map point now found. Now it is truly 15 on the board. 15-13 for the Bad News Bears. One more, and they've sealed the deal. They've moved on for the rematch with Triumph in the grand final.
Yep. Series point here for the Bad News Bears twice, but RBG, they still have enough money to get those AKs in hand, so they're going to be able to afford probably three. Yeah, 3 AKs going to come in. 2 Galils to round out the buy. Utility isn't as strong as they'd like, but it's more than enough to work with. Over on the Bad News Bears, double op setup, 3 M4s, everything going their way in terms of hardware, all the utility they could possibly need. They want that rematch against Triumph, and they want to find it in regulation right here. RBG, of course, are looking to push to OT. They come up from A, and they're actually going to make it through, but Wolf has to walk through a Molotov and take a lot of damage. Alter takes down Hex. Spongy is just sitting here waiting by the stairs to try and take someone down, but Wolf is going to nade it, at least hold him back temporarily. Bomb plant comes down, and Spongy doesn't care if the smoke is there or not. He connects on a frag on Walco, makes it a 5v3, and RBG are on their last life.
John, the clock is striking midnight, and the Cinderella story seems like it's coming to an end. Carriage is turning into a pumpkin, and the bodies are hitting the floor here. That's not quite how the Disney version went, but it is how this one will end. The Bad News Bears, they move on. 16-13 in the second map, 16-1 in the first, and they've secured a victory here. They've won the lower bracket final. They're getting their rematch with Triumph Gaming for a spot at EPL.
I am very excited for that rematch, Mike, between Triumph and the Bad News Bears. What a shame for RBG. Like I said, the Cinderella story comes to an end, but they really did put up a great fight on Mirage. I thought they would be able to pull it through and punch over to overtime, but just not to be tonight.
There you go. We were talking about hypotheticals, but turns out Bears, pretty good. Guerrilla tactics, quite successful there, Mike, particularly on map 1. They had a couple of those guerrilla tactics, just getting in the face of their opponents, running some, little strats underground and things like that. And it's a pretty successful series for the Bears. They're able to dispatch the opponent and make their way in towards that grand final for a bit of sweet, sweet revenge. But on the flip side of the equation, look, let's talk about RBG. I like to focus on the teams that we end up seeing depart Premier, because really that's what Premier is about. It's about talent development. I was saying it earlier, in Europe, you only get one team in towards EPL, which means that a whole lot of quality teams do end up missing out. So good, successful season here for RBG. Are you happy with what you've seen from them, even if, there was a couple of quiet moments in there?
Thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled, especially with their performance here in playoffs. I mean, this was a team that made their first roster move in years because of 2 players moving on to different horizons, and they've brought in reinforcements, and they've only gotten better. Winding up 3rd here in Premier, it's an incredible result for them. It's quite the showing, and I think they've got to be so very pleased, both in the matchup they had with Heikos, where they showed grit and perseverance and just, frankly, stamina. And then here up against Bad News Bears, yeah, they got absolutely smacked on Overpass, but the fact they battled so close on Mirage, a map they are not ordinarily very good on, just a great showing for this team. I am so encouraged for the future of this roster.
Yeah, I think RBG, they really represent what is a shining example to the open system that we have, climbing up through the ranks, continuing to develop talent, and they really surpassed expectations here in playoffs. They played with a hell of a lot of heart, and that's not much more that you could say compared to, some other teams in multiple regions, NA included, but also, OS. I said it before, so many underdog teams, so many teams that aren't expected to win just kind of kick the bucket after one map goes wrong or one series goes wrong. But these guys always trying to turn things around. Really nice performance there on Mirage, JRT. If they win Mirage there, what do you think? Chances at a reverse sweep? You were talking about it before, OTs into reverse sweeps and the amount of resilience these guys show. What did you think about it?
I honestly think they could have taken it if it went to map 3. The momentum would have been in their favor. It's a similar situation for them. They've done it before, and yeah, but we didn't get there, right? Bad News Bears closed it out in regulation, which is very strong on their part, especially considering how hard RBG were coming on throughout that first and even second half. It's just really impressive stuff for them. The resilience is a great point that you bring up because it's something that's been happening again and again and again on their squad, even back to advanced, right? They kept on doing these types of things against premier teams. So you love to see it. It's a great sign for them for their future. I said it before in the match, and I'll say it again. RBG are going to be a team to beat in Premier. Maybe not next season. Maybe they won't be that powerhouse yet, but in the future, very near future, they're going to be so scary.
All right. Enough talk about RBG. Flip side of the equation here, Mike. You've got the Bears. They've been knocked around a little bit. After a flawless regular season, they've had a couple of losses and taken a couple of blows, but they've lined up some revenge up against Triumph. How are you feeling about that grand final, even though they're at a map deficit?
I'm thrilled for it. I'm very happy that we're going to get the rematch here because the Bad News Bears, they're hungry and they're frankly a little pissed off about how that first matchup went. So it should line up to be very spicy. We saw a Triumph roster that had clearly done their homework, was clearly prepared for the Bad News Bears, that they're working to prepare for them for a long time, as Tacitus told us, and knew what they were doing. Made a very good run through that series, took the 2-1, moved on in. They've got a map advantage coming into this next matchup, and that means for the Bad News Bears, you can't have some of the silly mistakes they tend to make, some of the issues where they defeat themselves. They can't be losing to Ecos, they can't be losing to Pistols, they can't be giving up the second round after a pistol round win. If they can clean that up, this series should be